What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Learn How to Trade. That is your girl Adara. I am Sharif, and as always, we're gonna wait for the chat to populate and people to come over from the other stream. We already got a couple of people. We got Big Pauly D. Sad that he changed his name. He knows what I'm talking about there. We got 420 Bud Monster. We got Kryptonian No Land. All right. As always, we got Bears versus Bulls, Jam Ing, Bob Dub coming in, Pitch Bull, Rich Naples, Thomas Johnson in the chat, Christopher Mulligan, Nimit, Big Nimit Patel also in the chat, Super SPAC Man as always, and as always as well, Big Michael Lloyd, Billy Davis showing up as well, Roger Ortega, everybody's now we're populating big. And we got everybody migrating. Therefore, it is time to take care of some business. Guys, we are brought to you by Search Trader account funding of up to $1 million. Ram screen, keep up to 90% of the profits. Enjoy relaxed trading rules with an 8% max trailing drawdown on all new accounts. Shout out to the folks there at Search Trader who still have their trading contest going on. Top prize of $1,000 cash, and you get 100,000 fake dollars to prove you can make it in this business, baby. So yeah, shout out to them. Give them a look if you are interested. Good morning, Adara.
Good morning. How are you this Friday morning?
It's been tough. It's been a rough morning with some business stuff that I've had to take care of, but yeah, we had to do that, and we're ready to trade and talk about some lessons. We got biases today we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your morning was good?
Biases. Yeah, my morning was good. I'm eyeing some Lululemon.
Good.
Let's see if hopefully it's not too sour, not too citrusy and sour. I like the look of Lululemon, but I also don't like getting involved in things when they're like crazy strong and I don't have a range to play with. So we're going to be patient. We shall be patient. Also, thank you to Pauly D in the chat. You're going to nail it today. Netflix, NVIDIA, Meta, Tesla, all your faves. Go get them. Thank you, Pauly D. But we will also be getting some conversations about biases, which I'm really excited to talk about because I think it's a really interesting concept.
Yes.
There's a lot of these that I wasn't like, you can be familiar with something on kind of like a deeper level, but being familiar with it and conscious of it on a cognitive level is also really interesting.
Good. All right. So we're going to talk about trading biases and how to deal with them. First and foremost, let's start talking about what some of these biases are. Biases are important for emotional features that all day traders and investors should be aware of. Failure to do so can lead to major losses in the near or short term. Bias is defined as a situation where an investor makes a decision not based on fact, but because of preconceived ideas. And we've got a number of these biases, and obviously in psychology, some of the more popular ones are cognitive bias, social bias, institutional bias, and unconscious bias. But for our purposes right now in day trading, the biggest concern is going to be what we call cognitive bias, which is defined as biases that emerge from the way our brains process information. As a day trader or investor, it is very important for you to understand these biases early in your career. Doing so will help you avoid making common mistakes that many market participants make. So let's be on the lookout. Here are some examples of what I'm talking about with respect to anchoring biases. These are some subheadings here. Good over here? Yeah. Anchoring bias. What is that? It's a psychological situation where you rely too much on the first information that you receive while often ignoring or underestimating what follows thereafter. So we get a nice little news catalyst in the morning. INTS is up 100 some odd % on some catalyst. Something comes in later and I choose to ignore it. Here's, for example, a trader decides to place a buy trade when a company releases strong financial results. While a stock will often jump immediately after the news, at times it could drop during the earnings call. How many times have we seen that? Where the top and bottom line beat on the actual earnings, we get an algo spike right at that 405, 410, 415 time slot. And then 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hits, the earnings call comes on, the CEO or the CFO say something specific to with respect to guidance or what have you, or some other macroeconomic event, and then huadunk goes the dynamite. The one that I feel really stands out in my mind was Microsoft in the latter half of 2022, when Azure had a huge beat on cloud, but then they got on the call and they said, well, corporations are downsizing their spend on cloud, and you had the stock absolutely tank off the highs. So it like made new highs, and then the earnings call came on and basically put the kibosh on the entire trade. So that is what we call anchoring bias. And just to reiterate, when you place too much emphasis and you have, you're basically placing too much on the first information that you received and not taking in the full picture. The second one is what we call the gambler's fallacy. All right? This is another type of bias specific to day trading. This is a situation where a trader makes a decision based on recent performance. For example, if a stock rises 4 days straight, a trader can assume that it will drop sharply the next day. This is wrong, since the stock can absolutely continue to run for several more days. And I've met people like that. They're really more focused on mean reverting than they are with trend following, right? And so you'll be like, no, look, we're at a very key resistance level. We've been running for 3 or 4 days. I feel today is going to be a red day. They punch short. They don't wait for key levels to get triggered. Lo and behold, they're out of the money big. And we know how shorting is. You can absolutely get squeezed the other way, right? So that's what they call a gambler's fallacy, okay? And just to reiterate, it's a situation where a trader makes a decision based on recent performance and wants to take kind of like the contrary position. The other one is risk aversion bias. So we've talked about so far anchoring bias, gambler's fallacy, and now we're talking about risk aversion bias. Risk aversion is a situation where a trader is afraid of taking risks in the market. For example, if a stock is in a bull run, a risk-averse trader may be afraid of entering a trade, fearing that it will soon reverse. So kind of like in the opposite way of a gambler's fallacy. In most cases, risk-averse investors allocate cash in relatively safe assets like high-grade bonds or money market funds or CDs, which stand for certificates of deposit, whatever. At times, they miss the ongoing rally in the market itself. So risk-averse people, yeah, they tend to have a hard time at day trading or even swing trading. And Sean alluded to this, whatever, earlier in the week or sometime last week, I don't remember, where he said, a scared trader is a deficient trader, okay? Few more, I should say. Confirmation bias. Now, a lot of us have heard of confirmation bias in our normal life. I know I have, but in the context of day trading, here's what it is. It's a situation where a trader makes a decision based on what other people are saying. For example, the trader or investor will often buy stocks with more buy ratings from analysts and short those with more sell ratings. At times, the opposite scenario can be the best option. So, I look at Apple, I see, well, maybe Apple's not the best example. Maybe I look at something like Broadcom, because they got an upgrade today, AVGO. Everybody and their mother's cousin wanted to get into AVGO because they looked at it as a possible competitor to NVIDIA. And when they looked at the price that NVIDIA was trading at, they're like, it's far too rich. Who's next best? Oh, AVGO. Then you had all these analysts piling in buy ratings in the earlier part of this year, or maybe even in the summer, hoping, to kind of get some momentum behind Broadcom. That could be, that could be not very good, because, well, we know what NVIDIA has done subsequent to that. It's continued to run. Right. So confirmation bias, also a bit of a problem there as well. Overconfidence bias. I know some people that fall into that, friends of mine. The other popular type of bias known as overconfidence bias is an emotional bias where you assume that you have better skills than other people. Often, This effort comes as a streak of positive trades and can lead the trader to trust their instincts by glossing over the analytical part of the trade, the analysis phase. And we talked a lot about looking at charts, looking for confirmation from other indicators, multiple time frames, etc. Overconfidence bias, that'll get you in some trouble. Probably have to point the finger at my cousin there. He's delusionally confident over there.
Or I guess not shout out.
Love him.
Yeah.
I'm just putting him on blast there because I just felt like doing it. Right? Exactly. It's all in good fun. Herding bias. Last of the biases we're going to talk about, the herding bias. This is a situation where a trader believes that the majority opinion is correct and the minority opinion is not. As a result, some stocks tend to be highly crowded, which leads to pricey valuations. For example, a company like NVIDIA has a price to earnings, a PE of 61.5, making it highly expensive. You know the phrase, I did it because everyone else is doing it? That's exactly what a herding bias is. So some contradictory ones here where we're talking about confirmation bias, herding bias, maybe a little bit in conflict, but you have to view them in the intention in which they're supposed to be viewed. Any questions that are before going?
I think like the really important there's like different context, right? Like, and that's why I think some of them do seem, as you said, contradictory, which I think is a really good point that you brought up, because not every person is going to have different things. Like it's psychology, everyone's always going to be a little bit different, and psychological biases for trading will differ depending on the person, right? So to me, that does make sense. That definitely tracks. I think it's good that you pointed that out because I also think it's good for people to be aware that just because you don't suffer from one doesn't mean that you won't suffer from other ones, right? So I think just kind of be aware of these, and maybe maybe you are in Sharif's cousin situation, overconfidence bias, or what have you, right? So I think it's just kind of good to be aware of. Also, 2 super chats.
Yeah, go for
I just want to take a brief pause here to shout out. The Hayes Records, $4.99 super chat. 'Twas a good day, so I love the 'twas, by the way. 'Twas a good day, so I want to share a piece of indicators I use. TTM squeeze, 9 length, and the TSI, 25-13-13, both on the 1 and 2 minute charts. Bless y'all, gorilla emoji. Nice. Bless you. Thank you very much for the super chat and for the advice here, Hayes Records, or the Hayes Records, sorry. Also, Ahmed Al-Mualla with an AED $10 super chat. Google 140, or maybe not, but I'm long. Well, I will look. You said GOOG, so I want to be very cognizant of the chart that I am using here. GOOG. Long 140. Let me zoom out here. I'm assuming this is like a longer term trade then. Let me look at it on the day, Google on this one, or Goog in this 140 level. Yeah, I mean, I would say it has been, I'm trying to figure out when one could have gotten in at 140. I guess, yeah, yesterday perhaps you got in at 140. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing. I would say I would be cognizant of the fact that 140 has been a bit of a local ceiling for Google as of recently. But yeah, definitely the general trend on Google seems to be to the upsides. There's no reason that we couldn't break above that channel. That's my look on a Google long at 140, which I am going to go assume this is a swing or a longer term because we have not hit 140 yet today. But yeah, not a bad look as long as we kind of break up out of that channel there, especially with regards to the Gemini AI. That's definitely not a bad piece of news for Google, especially with
I gotta interrupt
the AI
you because
world.
I'm getting trolled by Spencer in the chat. Spencer, bro, I've got Invisalign on. I can't drink with a regular cup, otherwise they get stained. Stop trolling me, bro. You're supposed to be helping me out here. Shout out to Spencer in the chat. One of the better traders definitely to come through here for sure. Impact of biases in day trading. All right, that's the next topic right there. Impact of biases in day trading. Biases have major impacts on both day traders and investors. The most important impact is where a trader takes losses because they did not follow the required analysis method. For example, a trader with a herding bias will often follow the crowd while ignoring the 4 phases of the Wyckoff method. We haven't talked about the Wyckoff method yet, but that basically they are accumulation, markup, distribution, and markdown. But, probably shouldn't have used that example, but because we didn't talk about the Wyckoff method. But essentially, without doing your homework, that's really the whole idea here, and you're relying on the biases of the herd. As a result, they buy when the stock is rising and hold it when it moves into the distribution and markdown phase. Spencer, killing me, bro. There are other examples of how biases can affect day traders. For example, a trader with a confirmation bias will buy a stock when the analysts recommends it. While some analyst recommendations can work well, in some cases they can lead to substantial losses. Don't I know that? These biases can also lead to other psychological issues like stress and depression. They can also cause many experienced traders to take major losses in the market. And I want to mention one of the things that I was told by some of the traders, some of the OG traders here, like they would talk about, some of the addition and subtraction, some of the additions and removal trades on indexes. For example, we know Uber is going to be added to the S&P 500. The day that it's added, I think there has to be some $200 million or something like that, more than that. I think Brendo was sending me the 200 million shares, thanks. Around 200 million shares are gonna exchange hands on that particular day. So one of the proprietary trades is we have like one of these additions and subtractions trades here on the floor. Holding a ridiculous amount of shares can definitely cause people who are not, acclimated to that kind of trading to really experience a lot of stress. Sean talked about his experience yesterday with the closing print and how it was really causing him to lose some sleep. That was not his favorite style of trading. By the way, he Friday, you said? Yeah. Thank you. Right. So Friday, by the way, is the S&P rebalance day. So the Uber thing I'm talking about, that will take place next Friday. So make sure to join us for that. So other psychological, implications or, effects, the better word here I should be using, can be the result of, trading outside your comfort zone and relying on these unsubstantiated biases. Any questions, Adair, before I go on?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good kind of a thing to remember as well, right? Because it's like these, I think it's one thing, and I think that's something I'm guilty of, to be aware that you have an issue, and another thing to not fix that issue. So if I'm aware that I have like a certain preference in trading, and keep in mind I am paper trading, so a little bit of a different discussion. But I think if you're conscious of one thing, and then so for example, I prefer scalping. I would say I am a bit more biased towards that kind of movement, and I do prefer these larger stocks. So if I'm not being careful and taking my risk into account with these stocks, then that's going to be kind of an issue, and I have no one to blame but myself, right? Which is why I think risk management, accountability is I think really important as well. So that would be kind of my take on that from my experience, my limited experience. So I think that's I think a really interesting point, and I think hopefully a good discussion too. I'm seeing some people here in the chat being like, yeah, I relate. Yeah, I think it's good to recognize also too, and this is the same thing I said yesterday with regards to the stages. With these biases, it's I think in a way kind of comforting to know that you're not alone, and that there are other people who are dealing with these issues and working to fix them. Okay, how to solve emotional and cognitive bias in trading. Set and follow your trading rules. We've talked about that ad nauseum earlier in the week and last week and even the previous week when we kind of got started with this whole thing about following your trading plan and how to mitigate risk. Set and follow your rules and stick to them. Otherwise, the data collection that you collect after to analyze your trade is going to be skewed and meaningless, okay? One of the best approaches to avoid these cognitive and emotional issues is to set and follow your trading rules. For example, you can set a rule where you must conduct a multi-time frame analysis before you execute a trade. Also, you can adopt a rule of always using a trading journal when trading. We talked a lot about that this week. Setting rules is the first part. You should always ensure to follow them consistently. For example, like we talked about how I never really like taking these small cap gappers long if they are south of VWAP at the moment. And that could be one rule that you adopt all the time. Risk management strategies is another way of helping avoid and solving the emotional and cognitive biases in trading. Risk management strategies. That was essentially all of the first week in Learn How to Trade. The other approach to solving biases is to ensure proper risk management. Some of the top strategies that will help you in this endeavor are using the right leverage size, position sizing, having a stop loss, and taking profit. So with respect to leverage size, in case you don't know what that is, a lot of these brokerages, they'll front you money
in addition to what you've already deposited. So I've talked about this on the show yesterday. IBKR gives me 3-to-1 on some stocks, not all, depends on the beta. The more volatile the names, the less leverage I'm going to have. The more stable or the more secure the name, the more leverage you're going to get typically on that. So if I'm over leveraging and using too much, I can get that margin call super quick, and that could help me be biased in a certain direction. I need it to go my way, otherwise I'm going to have my position liquidated. Position sizing, we talked about this yesterday as well. You may not be able to be in the same mental state if you are sizing up substantially versus, taking small size. And I would say that just goes without saying. Also, having a stop loss and taking profit, you have to adhere to your rules. That's part of like the first rule. If you're not adhering to your rules, you're just asking for trouble, okay? Taking profit also helps you lock in some profits and also has the effect of reducing the size that you're holding. That has a psychological impact. If you're not holding as much size, if you've locked in profits, you're less likely to sweat the trade, okay? Another thing that you can do is to know yourself. You really need to be, not just know yourself as an individual, but to know yourself as a trader. You can also avoid these common biases by reflecting and knowing more about yourself as a trader. Reflecting on your trading habits can help you identify these biases and work on them. In most cases, dealing with these biases will not be easy. It is often not easy to avoid the hurting biases when a stock is soaring. If I had FOMO'd into, what was that one? I forget the name of that triple-digit mover from today. What the hell was it called? INTS, right? It's halted to the downside now. If I had taken it south of VWAP, like my rules don't allow, I'd probably be stuck in the halt on the way down right now. Focusing on your strategy, another way to help alleviate some of the emotional and cognitive issues with bias. The most important thing you need to do when day trading is you need to have a good strategy. You should create the strategy and test it in the sim before you decide to move to a live account. I'm not going to belabor this issue because I already spoke my piece about it yesterday. If you have not been able to prove profitability in the sim, it is my opinion that you have no business trading with real money. And this little article suggests the same thing as well. There are other approaches that will help you deal with these biases when day trading and investing. For example, emotional control, taking small losses, and diversifying your trades will go a long way. Further, some technologies and trading strategies can help you deal with these biases. One of the top approaches to using is automated trading platforms like algos that take the subjective decision-making component out of your trades. And that is one of the things that we have on this floor. There's an algo room. And these guys, they use Python and other languages to help them write algos. And the algos wait for objective criteria to either develop before they get into the trade. So you're not having to make on-the-fly subjective decisions. It either triggered or it didn't. And that can kind of take some of the emotional bias or some of the emotional component out of that whole thing. So those are some of the ways to alleviate some of the emotional and cognitive biases in trading.
Yeah, I have kind of a question, maybe a strange one, but something I was kind of thinking of. So, some traders will refer to themselves as like long or short bias. Like I know you call yourself a long bias trader. I guess how would you say this kind of concept of bias fits into what we're talking about here? Or was that more just kind of, I don't know if that's really relevant, but I guess just like maybe it's just part of like generally thinking about how you are as a trader, but.
Can you repeat the question?
Well, I guess I was just thinking about, I don't know if this is like a proper question, but I was thinking about the whole concept of being like a long or a short bias trader. And just maybe, maybe just another interesting bias to think about personally. I don't know if it necessarily fits into what we're kind of talking about here, but it was just something that kind of came to my mind throughout this conversation.
About being long or short bias?
Yeah, I guess
see what you're saying.
Like a different aspect of trading.
I see what you're trying to say. Yeah, obviously.
I worded it poorly, sorry.
No, I get what you're trying to say. Well, if it's a bull market and we're up, what are we up today? Well, we were up on the NQ, not so much. I'm obviously going to perform less optimally on my shorts if I'm a short bias trader and we're trending up 2%
Yeah.
on the market. That just goes without saying. The point is to be able to recognize, number one, that I am a short or long bias individual. So that comes to going to knowing yourself.
Okay.
In addition to that, you know, being able to exercise the self-control to know, okay, well, this is a long market on the day. I'm gonna, you know, not be able to take the kind of trades that I want to be able to take, despite the fact that my levels are coming in. So if we get a 16-1 rejection and we're up on the day 3%, I'm just giving you any random numbers there, I still need to know, I still need to be cognizant of the fact that we're running up 3%. And, you know, I'm not a mean reversion trader, I'm a trend trader. So you know, it's going to be tougher for me to take that trade and to do well. So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's basically it. There's not much more to that. We're going to repeat that bias stuff over and over as we go throughout the afternoon. If you guys have any questions with respect to the type of biases, put them in. If you guys have any questions with respect to anything that's moving right now, put them in the chat for Adair and I, but I'm going to start looking to see what we're doing here on the future because we are getting a VWAP bounce on the NQ. So this interests me greatly. Not just because we are getting a 16.025 bounce, but there is an established level here from the morning when we popped up in the morning at 9:30, pardon me, and then we started trending back down. We rejected at 16.025. We made our way up through 16.1, did a bit of a double top right there, but we came back into a key, formerly resistance level, now support that 16.025. We moved up again through 16.1, rejected 16.1. Lo and behold, we're coming right back into that 16.025 area again, which also happens to be just a skosh above VWAP. So you like when those two levels, or one, I'm not talking levels, sorry, the price level conflates with the indicator, in this case VWAP. We'll see what's happening. We're at that 16.0.5 at the moment. Multiple attempts at 16.1, but let's see if we hold up at this level. If we don't, it's going to be an interesting flat bottom break through that 16.025. So keeping my eye on the future. Yesterday was a good day on the future. We were able to take a nice, what was it, a 16,000 rejection yesterday? I forgot.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Something like that. Anything you have to ask?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can talk about, I am in deux positions right now. I am in a little baby Tesla long here, and some people mentioning, I appreciate in the chat here, Trade Guru, Tesla yesterday high and pre-market high areas, both around that 244. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, so my plan, my stop kind of area here is around that 243, because I kind of charted out how much range we had to go to the downside here on the dips, and it was a low of about 243. So I'm out if we break below that 243 decisively. In terms of where I'm taking my profits, 245. I have, so keep in mind, also paper trade, it's in the sim, but I have legitimately, I'm trying to get scalpier, especially on these mega caps, because I feel like that's been my issue, is I've been straying from my scalpy nature, and I think it has been impacting my trades. Okay. So just being really honest, right? Because we're talking about biases. That's definitely an issue I have. So yeah, so I'm trying to get out at 245. That would be the goal here. Again, literally teeny tiny little itty bitty baby position here. The other position I'm extremely happy with right now, I have to say, is DocuSign. This is another example too of the market reacting differently to something initially and then re-upping, because we were swooping to the downside despite earnings beat on all counts and higher expectations and guidance on all counts. The one thing that makes me nervous here is it might be a bit of a double, triple top situation, so I'm going to be cognizant. If we kind of break, I'm going to keep an eye at the 48.8 area. That might be where I need to leave for a stop. I do not want to see any lower lows. I do not want any scrubs. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of us breaking above that 49.4. It looks like we might have run out a little bit of steam on DocuSign. All the documents here might already be signed, and we might have gotten to the party just a skosh late. But yeah, I mean, I like the Tesla situation right now. I like the DocuSign situation right now. And I think especially, you know, we're talking about trading biases. I want to be really cognizant of this while I'm talking about it, is yeah, just be aware of where my biases are, where my issues lie. My tendency to, I find, sometimes overstay my welcome in trades when my natural inclination is to be a little bit scalpier. So I'm going to be very aware of that, especially, you know, during bias day and psychological trading week.
All right, there's an obvious level here that we have to talk about on Apple. Can you guess what it is?
Pardon?
Can you guess what level we have to talk about here?
That 195?
Bang.
Because look at this it's flat topping.
Oh, is it ever?
It's trying to not be the dead one, but it really will be the dead one unless we break 195.
I'm pleased with the fact that we're knocking on the door of 195, accumulating around there, because 195 on Apple has been a level for a few days now, okay? We obviously had a flat top on Apple, couldn't breach that 195. Did we actually breach it yesterday? No, we didn't. I'm just double checking to make sure we didn't actually get a breach. 195 on this candle here at 1220. And we didn't touch 195 again, did we? No, we didn't. We came off the close here at 1040, 194.98. Today, there's been several attempts at 195 on Apple. The good news is on this day, we have a series of higher lows. We have that algo spike at 8 a.m. or 8:30. Sorry, not algo spike. That's the opening range low where we got to that 193.5. We then double bottomed here at 193 2/3 between 9:55 and 9:25, and then we dipped here at 194.20 at around 1040, and now we have a newer low right at VWAP at 194.40, 194.50 area. So higher lows, all the while not able to breach that 195 top on AAPL. You gotta wonder, when we're gonna break. Number one, when we're gonna break through 195. It looks like, maybe not if. And with what vigor and what aggression we break that 195.
Vigor is a great word.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get it.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, you guys know I'm swing trading this Apple position. So obviously talking
because of the Starbucks bet. Yeah. Everyone knows because of the Starbucks thing.
Oh,
remember that whole,
remember that?
I feel like if you didn't know, if you don't know, now you know after that whole thing occurred.
Yeah, so Apple has been quite strong. As of late, it really hasn't been retracing as aggressively as some of these other names. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. They have, I don't know, earmarked how many billions of dollars worth of money that they've authorized themselves to buy back their shares. So a lot of these, they could be share buybacks from the company. And in addition to that, we know that, essentially Berkshire Hathaway is very long bias Apple at the moment. It could be any number of reasons. Also, there was a catalyst today with respect to India and Vietnam. They're shifting production of their iPad exclusively to Vietnam. In addition to that, I think they want to make the majority of the batteries for their next iPhone in India exclusively. It's one of the biggest shifts we've seen so far from Apple after announcing that they were definitely going to rely on more friendshoring for some of the parts for the iPhone, and India falls right into that. So Apple's been very strong. We're knocking on the door of 195 again. We're at 194 3/4. We've held VWAP this time around. I want to reiterate, we have a series of higher lows here with a flat top. It's not exactly an ascending wedge, but we should be cognizant of that flat top at 195. Keeping my eye on that. If we get the breach of that, we'll see how that plays out on the day, Adara.
Yeah.
I just screwed up my little NQ thing, so I have to fix that. There we go. Futures.
Yeah, charts love to do that. Charts love to be a little difficult.
We'll be rolling, by the way. Neil, when are we rolling to the new contract? Is it Friday, next Friday? So next Monday? Okay, so guys, we are in the December 15th contract right now for the futures, whether it's the ES, the Russell, the NASDAQ. That expires next Friday, but typically on this floor, we roll to the new contract on the Monday prior to expiration. So we will be using the new, I don't know when, it's like, I think it's the March contract, starting on Monday. Some people may already be using it. If you do a comparison with respect to volume, you'll be able to see more volume coming into the March contract recently. All right, let's take some questions because we've kind of been ignoring the chat. Sorry about that. Bitcoin trader, BTC might dump today. What do you think? I have no idea. I don't know the future. We'll have a look at BTC. It's up 1 2/3.
I was going to say, from doing the crypto update today, I will say it looked a little bit comparatively weak to some of these other cryptocurrencies, but that's not to say that it is weak, period. I just think it seems weaker when you're looking at crazy Cardano. Someone mentioning Cardano in the chat. Up, when I was doing crypto update, up over 20%. Solana up over 10%. So it just might be like relative weakness for BTC would be what I would say to that.
It's up 1 a third.
Yeah, I still really.
Two-thirds,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I'm not
at the
like
moment.
definitely. I would say like weakness is not the right word, but
Yeah, we're knocking on
keep
the door
talking.
of 44,000 again, guys. We're at 43,953, so 44,000 possibly incoming here. We'll have to wait and see what we get, but it's been very strong for Bitcoin. In case you're wondering why, 3 reasons. Essentially, all tailwinds. We have the spot ETF that's supposed to be approved any day now. We also have the halving event in May, which usually has a run up to the halving event, and then we also have the belief among some market participants that interest rate hikes are done, and therefore more speculative assets start to run.
Yeah.
Daryl Finch, I took the short 2 on Apple, 194.95 to be exact, but that was the same. But that was at 10. I'm already out of it. Still like the fade until it breaks. Couldn't agree more. Just, you know, keep in mind that when it breaks, a couple of things could happen. Usually it breaks and then it'll shoot right back down, then it'll run back up again. So don't make a firm decision on the initial break. Watch how it trades after that. It's better to be, you know,
Safe
right
sorry.
than first. Yeah, safe than sorry.
Yeah.
That works too. Yeah, so that's all I really have to say about that. And anything that you're looking at today?
Yeah, I'm still in my little baby Tesla situation. I say baby because I have, like I said, legitimately the smallest amount of shares I can take on this. I just liked it because I like this 244 level. But you know, with regards to risk and reward, and I know I am a bit biased towards our old friend Stressla, I was like, let's be cautious here, which is why I took a smaller position. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to take it to like 245. We seem to have some resistance here, this earlier high of 244.60, so I'm going to be cognizant of that level. But I do like this 244 because I was watching it on the tape. That's where we slowed down just a little bit. Also, some other people in the chat saying they like 245. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, do what you need to do. I am paper trading. I am still very new. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think 245 is a bad out if you're trying to scalp this, in my humble opinion, for myself. Also, DocuSign too. I am happy. I got out part of my position at that 240 DocuSign. 49. I'm in Tesla brain over here. Evidence of bias. Literally just talking about Tesla. Why I am also in DocuSign. But no, so I got out part of my position at that 49.50 because that's where we're having a bit of resistance. I'm keeping the rest until I was thinking like 50, and I'm saying 50 because I'm kind of trying to measure where we had those breakouts here. So the last breakout was about 80 cents from where we had that pop to the upside. So I'm trying to get out probably just below that 45 area. Mark Sushi, word of the day, cognizant. Yeah, I love that word. I use it a lot in general. I feel like I'm using it a lot more today. But yeah, there we are. I'm trying to be more cognizant of my use of it, I guess. But yeah, also Tesla's tanking, so I might have to get that Cybertruck out of this parking lot because we're getting very close to my area of no-go zone, which was that 243. Yeah, if we break this lower low, I am outie. I am bye-bye, goodbye. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Oh, you're in the short.
Break, yeah. I'm going to take this. I'm going to give this essentially to 16,000. We'll see what we get from that. The out will be about of the break above 16,062. We'll see how we do on this one. But we're making lower highs with a flat bottom, so there we go. First fill there.
I was going to say, my Tesla just tanked, so I was like, you're probably doing well
exactly.
here.
Well, that's why I like this one. No, I don't mean to say anything bad. I'm just looking at the levels here. I am concerned about a 16,000 hold. That's no doubt about that. So we'll be looking to de-risk in front of 16,000. I have another beak wetter there at 05, so we'll see what we get there. Word of the day, cognizant, says Mike Susi. Yeah, we use that a lot around here.
I think we both use it individually.
I think we do. Yeah.
So, and I know I use it a lot, so I feel like it like makes it seem like we use it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's going on here? Yeah. So that's basically the trade I have on at the moment. You want to go through some of the materials?
Biases. So basically, I mean, what are trading biases? So basically, they're important emotional features that all people in general, but especially all traders, with regards to what we're talking about today, everything through the lens of trading, of course, and the markets. So basically, they're emotional features that traders need to be aware of because they can impact how you think, and that can impact how you trade. So failure to notice these biases or to be cognizant, did it again, I'm so sorry, of these biases can lead to major losses on the near or long-term basis. And bias is basically, it's a situation where investors make decisions not based on fact or not based on technicals, or not based on whatever parameters you use to trade, because as we said, like, some people are fundamental, some people are technical, but that's what biases are, when you make your decisions based on your preconceived notions. And sometimes you don't even realize you're doing this, right? Like, we'll get into this here. But there's a lot of different types of biases in psychology. Some of them are cognitive, some of them are social, some of them are institutional, some of them, as I just said, are unconscious. In trading and in investing, the biggest concern is cognitive bias. I'm going to do the finger waving again, which is basically defined as biases that emerge from the way our brains process information. And as a day trader or an investor, it is very important for you to understand these biases early in your career so that you can avoid making some, sketchy situations, avoid making common mistakes that a lot of participants do make. And hopefully, if other people feel, if you relate, if you understand, yeah, I think to me at least helps me feel a bit less alone as you learn trading, because other people have gone through the same stuff. So anchoring bias. So this is a psychological situation where you basically rely too much on the first info you receive, and then you ignore or underestimate what comes after that. So for example, a trader decides to buy a trade because the company releases strong financials, but then, half an hour later you get an Elon Musk Tesla Q3-like situation where the call goes a little bit awry, or perhaps things are said and things go a little bit off the chain there, and as a result then the stock goes swoop to the downside, but you bought because of the financial, so now you're in a little bit of a pickle, right? So don't just rely on the first information. Do your research, take your time, because you don't want to have to pay the price for that, right? So gambler's fallacy is another type of bias in day trading. This is a situation where a trader makes a decision based on recent performance. So if a stock rises for 4 days straight, a trader can assume it will sharply drop the next day, but that's actually wrong, because the stock can continue to rise for more days. You know what I mean? That is definitely what can happen. Like, I know with Netflix after earnings, I was thinking like, oh, there's no way this thing can continue, because I was really trading Netflix off earnings. And it actually, like, I'm really happy it didn't. I don't even know if I was shorting then, but I'm happy, I stuck with it and kept my eye on it, because Netflix ran for, I want to say 5 or 6 days after its earnings this most recent quarter. Like, it was crazy strong off earnings, right? Or say Tesla, the opposite, where it was very weak off earnings, and you might assume, oh, it's going to have, a day 2 rally, and it did not do that. So it's really just nice to be aware here. We also have risk aversion bias. So this is when, risk, huge thing in trading. So of course there's a bias around it, right? It's when a trader is afraid of taking risks in the market. So if the stock's on a bull run, things run into the high side, no matador needed. A risk averse trader might be afraid of entering the trade because they're worried it's going to reverse soon. I do this. This is something I do. You know what I mean? And I think it's good to be aware of that. And now that's why sometimes I like to wait for a couple, for example, more candles. Like, there's different ways to mitigate this, but you can't really mitigate your issues unless you are aware of them. And then most cases, risk-averse investors will allocate cash in relatively safe assets like high-grade bonds, money market funds, certificates for deposits. And so then they'll miss the ongoing rally at the stock market. Like, you do miss 100% of the chances you don't take. So as long as you're, if you see these rallies, as long as you're sticking to your plan, maybe you can still get something out of it, right? Just be aware, be conscious. Confirmation bias is another bias here. This is when traders make decisions based on what other people are chirping about, right? So for example, a trader or investor will buy more stocks with high ratings from analysts and then short those with more sell ratings. At times, the opposite scenario can be the best option. Example here, DocuSign, although DocuSign's fallen off a little bit here. Pranaya was mentioning this in the chat, so thank you for mentioning that one, Pranaya. Where DocuSign actually had some negative ratings from analysts, and we're up 3%. We initially went troop to the downside. Now we're doing well, although I am going to have to maybe evaluate my own place in this trade. But that's neither here nor there. We also have overconfidence bias, the other popular type of bias. So this is emotional bias, where you assume that you have better skills than other people. So this is this effect can come from a streak of positive trades and can lead the trader to trust their instincts by glossing over the analysis phase. Herding bias is another one, not herding sheep, herding people. So this is when traders believe that the majority opinion is correct and the minority one is not. And then some stocks can be crowded, which leads to price evaluations. And maybe, this kind of reminds me too of what you were talking about, the bubble. the market bubble, right? Where the dot-com bubble, where we had that swoop to the upside and then swoop to the downside, because people get overcrowded. There's too many people in one room and one stock and one trade, right? So that is interesting, worth noting here. So for example here, a company like NVIDIA has a price to earnings ratio of 61.5, making it really expensive. So, that's where that phrase, I did it because everyone else is doing, comes in. Another phrase that this makes me think of, is, oh, if so-and-so jumped off the cliff, would you do it, right? So, think before, don't all jump into a trade because everybody is doing so, right? So yeah, impact, how do biases in day trading impact you? So they can impact day traders and investors. The most important impact is when traders take L's because they didn't follow their proper methods. So that's what I was saying, right? There's nothing wrong with, taking note of a movement, but make sure that you don't enter until you have all your little ducks in a row there. So a trader with herding bias, for example, might follow the crowd while ignoring, different indicators they use, their chart patterns they like. So and as a result, they'll buy when the stock is rising and then hold when it moves into distribution and markdown if you're using Wyckoff, for example, here. But yeah, so there are other examples of how biases can affect day traders. So a trader with a confirmation bias could buy a stock just because it had an analyst recommendation, when actually, sometimes these can make stocks pop, but that's not the be-all end-all, right? There are other factors. And then, if you fall into these biases, worst case scenario, it can lead to psychological issues, stress, depression. Experienced traders can take major L's in the market just because they're listening to their heart or their mental processes and not, the things that they have built up, the things that they've practiced. So how do you solve, or at least be more aware of, be more conscious of these biases? So set and follow your trading rules, right? One of the best approaches is to just set the rules, follow the rules. So if you set a rule that you need to conduct a multi-time frame analysis before executing a trade, which is something I should probably do, then you have to follow that, and then you might have a little bit more success. That way you're checking other things. You're not just listening to the first thing your brain's telling you when you get into a trade. You have other checkpoints to get to. And then also consistency can kind of come from that. Yeah.
All right.
How's the MNQ going? Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we're moving sideways. I think we're having issues with the position board as per usual, but the production team doing their thing on that. We had some people asking for analysis on AVGO as a result of the upgrade. So let's have a look at Broadcom and what it is up to today. So let's have a look at AVGO. VGO. All right, so this is the weekly look. Obviously, it's not what we want to do. We want to look more daily. Obviously, this is earnings over here. Let's put in AVGO. Okay, so nice move basically from the November lows when everything kind of bottomed out there last year in 2022. It's been a hell of a stock since that time, bouncing off that 425 bottom. Just recently touched that $1,000 mark, but now retracing about $100 down into the 900 area today. It's up, well, what was, now it's down 0.8% on the day. So do we have any technical levels that we need to be aware of right away? Well, right away I can tell you this level here, which is essentially that $920 level. We get a touch on the algo spike on earnings day. We consolidate at a top there. On the period between July to August was a top. We breach it momentarily August 30th. We breach it again on a wick basis, not on a closing basis, again in October. And then finally, we break it here in the November to remember uptrend coming into the 1,000. But look where we are. So what was resistance clearly at that 920, 925, give or take, it's a $1,000 stock. You're going to have to give this a bit of a range, okay? Now is acting as support. We come back down there, look for support at this level. So that's one thing we should be looking for here, for former resistance to act as support. The other thing, we don't want a lower low. We haven't gotten a lower low. A lower low would be the break of that 800.25 area. We haven't got that. That's where the last trough was. This trough here ending up at 9. What was a closing basis there? We got 904. Yeah, that was 904. So sadly, it did breach that 920 area, but on a $1,000 stock, that's not by much. If you use on a percentage basis, it's literally bupkis, okay? So as a swing trade, I like this. It looks really good there. So long as it holds Number one, the higher low, and number two, the one you're looking for first is to hold this 900 area. Because if it gives up the ghost on 900, that was clearly the resistance level before. Now it should act as support. There's also this upper trend line that you can draw here, but I put less stock in that than the actual technical, not the technical levels, the price action levels. On this name, okay? So this is what I'm looking for here. Obviously, 1,000. That is the resistance level from now on, assuming that we can hold above this 9.25. So it's a good look here on AVGO. Yeah. Intraday perspective. Let's have a look at the 5-minute look. Zigzaggy inside day.
It's a good way of putting it. Very zigzaggy.
Yeah, it is, right? From 942 high yesterday, we definitely we're within the highs and the lows of yesterday on the day today. So not much to say, rather except that, you know, I figured we would trend up on the upgrade, but not so. And the story behind this one is, guys, you know, people are really looking for an NVIDIA substitute because they can't stomach the valuation that NVIDIA is showing at the moment. So instead, they're looking for alternatives, and a lot of analysts are looking for something like AVGO to be that alternative. So good look for AVGO on the daily, and as a swing, I think it's a very good idea so long as the technical levels stay in place. Jimmy Mo Ace, you want to have a look at
the super chat. I already have it pulled up actually here. So thank you so much, Jimmy Mo Ace, 199 super chat. Watch Dish squeeze higher than AMC did in 2021. Gas pump emoji, little plane emoji. Also in the comments here, he says Darren Sharif, best two there is. Thank you very much for the super chat and for the nice compliment. That being said, Dish is, we were in a downward, went from one downward channel to a mild upward channel, so sort of a double top situation. I would argue we were in an upward channel. Now, Jimmy Mo Ace and the Dish people out here, people who are fans of Dish, I would wait for a break above that like 5.5 to know that this is actually going to go up, right? Because until then, we have lower high after lower high after lower high, and then lower lows, right? So I would say I would be a bit, iffy, a skosh, indecisive, unsure, pragmatic about this name until we break above that 5.5, because to me, that would be a higher high, and at that point, you could actually see a bit more momentum there. Let's look at the intraday on this guy. I'm on the 5-minute, kind of rough. We're up on the day. We kind of went down. Now we're kind of seeing like a bit of a flat channel. Yeah, intraday, not a great look. Longer term, we're definitely on the daily seeing a bit of steam, but I would not get too hype until we break above that 5.5 area. But thank you very much. I think it's an interesting look, and it's an interesting one to look at there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, he said something else here. Dish showing 39% short on Ortex. Huge merger is taking them away from TV subs. Focus on worldwide internet with Spectrum. The fair value is 30. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think too, it depends on looking at the fundamentals, right? I think from a fundamental perspective, I do see what you're saying. I would say, yeah, with that in mind, keep that in mind, and then technical, if it gets to 5.5 and breaks above that, I think it could be interesting. There.
Yeah, Neil just put in the chat, guys, in case you missed it, NVIDIA's I almost said NVIDIA. I would have canceled myself there.
NVIDIA?
Yeah, no, because there's a whole thing.
Yeah, Josh Brown once was ranting about it. He's like, it's NVIDIA.
So
you say
angry
NVIDIA. Because he went on CNBC and the other girl was saying NVIDIA. And he was like so upset.
And he's so petty. When he was on the video with Michael Batnick, he actually sounded it out.
Yeah.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, so his name on the Zoom was NVIDIA.
Jensen?
Oh.
We'll have to YouTube it to find out.
Yeah, it's Jensen. Jensen wins.
Well, Jensen gets to choose it. He's the founder, bro.
Yeah,
so,
he gets to choose, and Lisa Sue gets to choose her suits.
Yeah.
And the cousins are happy.
But Neil put something in the chat there. NVIDIA forward PE 23, Google 20, Microsoft 29, Meta 19. So yeah, I mean, keep that in mind. The Chilean Nightmare is dealing with my my mic here because it's acting up again. Sorry, guys, if it's making weird noises in the chat. Andrew Ditter. Oh, I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. I hit the mute button. Josh Brown called Piton short at 160. Dang. I was involved in Piton there in late 2020. Held that nicely from like 119 to 130 some odd for a swing. So it was like a nice $20 winner or so. That brings back memories. But I actually like believed in it at the time, to be honest with you. So much involved were we with COVID. It felt like it was never going to end. But yeah, I like Josh Brown. I like what he has to say. Some people think, you know, he's a phony. I don't.
I like the Compound podcast too. Like, what are your thoughts? And, you know, I always feel good because I actually recently, I think it was a couple podcasts ago now, but when they do that one at the end where it's like mystery chart, I actually got the chart right and I was so proud. So it's like, yeah, it's a really, I think it's an entertaining podcast and I think it gives a lot of food for thought.
Manuel Palma wants to know about Uber. It's breaking highs. Let's have a look. So Uber, yes,
is it Uber
very strong, continues to run into next Friday's addition to the S&P. We already mentioned it at the top of the show. Next Friday, we have the, is it the quarterly rebalancing? Year-end rebalancing. Thanks, Katina, man. So even bigger on Uber. Let's have a look at the hourly on Uber, give you an idea what this monster has been absolutely pumping to the high side after that $40 base that we made there in late October. It was definitely not Uptober, it was Downtober, but then followed by that, it was the November to remember, baby. Because look at this monster move here. $20+ off the bottom. We're almost at $23.
It's a nice upward channel, more or less.
Yeah, it's a monster. And like there was we knew that this was going to be added. We knew that they had two straight quarters of profitability there, and then the EBITDA is the standard. But 2 straight quarters of profitability for Uber was a matter of time, and even in the face of declining freight revenues, they've been able to make things happen by having food delivery pick up the slack for freight, but freight could pick up. Now, obviously, we're coming from COVID highs when freight was going through the roof. You'll recall that we had, you know, containers sitting on the sideline at the Long Island. What was it? Not Long Island, Long Beach port in California, and there was all sorts of issues. You recall Costco had to like make their own little thing there where they would go and get the containers from the shipyard, store it on their own land because there was just no room for these containers on the shipyard. So it was a wild time. It was chaotic. We're out of that now. So margins look to be coming down for Uber Freight, which uses an auction system, by the way, much similar to the ride hailing, obviously a little bit different. But Uber, fantastic. Let's look at it from a 5-minute perspective here. Do we have any? That's the issue. We don't really have levels with which to work because it's been rocketing to the high side. So if we're going to look at any levels, we've got to look historically to see last time Uber was up here. Obviously on the, you know, when we I don't want to call it a blue sky setup, but when you have historical levels, they are a bit less significant than what we've been dealing with lately. So I'd say, you know, play to the whole dollar level. If it comes into 62, maybe an interesting dip trade. But you know, when something is extended like this, it's not my type of trade, and I need key levels off which to work. So yeah, Uber, a great look, but I have no suggestion on it. Anything else, guys? Look at Lily, please. That's your stock.
Oh yeah, okay. my girl Lily. Let's look at Miss Lily over here. So the volume, this is my thing with Eli Lilly, and I've talked about this. I get a little bit hesitant because a lot of times her volume, she's a woman, I've decided, her volume is below 1 million. Yesterday I got involved with Miss Lily below 1 million, and it was not, you know, my favorite time in life. So yeah, today I find this one a little bit hard to read. We had like a nice pre-market consolidation kind of situation from this 587 to 588 level. Then we went swoop to the upside, really beautiful in pre-market. Then opening, we swooped to the downside. It's like a $7 dip more or less. Now we're seeing a bit, you know, picking up here. If we break a higher high above 589 and some more volume enters the situation, I might consider courting Lily again. We know I like trading Eli Lilly. I am a fan of Eli Lilly, and you know, this name can get a lot of volume pretty quickly. Like last time I checked it, it was at 300,000 on the day. I did check this earlier today, of course. So now we've like picked up like, you know, 200K-ish in volume. So I am not disliking this. Kevy saying also as well, Lulu's making new highs. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on Lulu. I just, I keep missing my dip opportunities. So I'm just, I've got this on my side chart alongside the DocuSign train, which is still, still pumping there, still working.
Yep.
Also, I'm just going to take a look at Tesla for Susanna Pena over here. Can you please check our crazy friend Stressla? Yeah, we'll see if it's being a Mesla, if it's being Bestla. As you can see, I got out here because we failed 242.70. That was when your short was really cooking there, that NQ short. Yeah, this 242 would actually be not a bad double bottom-ish situation, but I'm not going to jump on anything because, as Susanna Pena said, Stressla is our crazy friend, and we like to let Tesla figure out what it wants to do before making any decisions here. Also, yeah, don't shoot in the chat here, Miss Lily below a milli. Love that, and it is true. But yeah, so lots of interesting stuff to look at here. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm biased towards Eli Lilly, so that's why I also like to take a step back before just hopping in. Speaking of biases today.
All right, some interesting convergence happening here between some of the Mag 7 names. If we can have a look at the chart, you see Meta with a series of lower highs, likewise with Amazon, likewise with Apple, likewise with NVIDIA. But what they all have in common is not just the lower highs, but they're all bouncing off VWAP. So despite the fact that we look like we have something akin to a descending wedge, where we have lower highs and a flat bottom, they all seem to be finding that support at VWAP. Case in point, like if we can draw the trend line here, there you go, lower high, lower high, lower high, all the while with that 328.5, 329-ish area as a flat bottom, finding support at VWAP. Same thing with AMZN, just less pronounced lower highs, but lower highs nonetheless. All bouncing off that 164.5-ish, 146, pardon me, 40-ish area, all getting bounces off VWAP. Again, Microsoft, same story, lower high, lower high, lower high, but finding some support here at VWAP at that 371-ish, 371.25. And then last but not least, obviously, my favorite of the bunch, AAPL, with lower highs since essentially 1050, but definitely all the closing prints finding support north of VWAP. And then I said last but least, but I was wrong, NVIDIA, NVDA, lower high, lower high, lower high, finding some support there at the 473.5, 473-ish area at VWAP. So it seems to be a trend with these bad boys. Do we get, what's it called? Do we actually break down below these levels here and have a big move down on the future? I'm still involved in the futures position, looking for that 16,000 touch. It's the same look here on the future, lower high, lower high, lower high, and dancing with VWAP. It's like all these ones are doing their thing together for whatever reason. So lots of similarities here between the Mag 7 names, not just with the patterns that they're putting on the price action, but where they are relative to the indicator. In this case, it's VWAP that we're really looking at here, and there is an obvious confluence here with the future. The outliers are Google. Despite the fact that you have lower highs all throughout, you have broken through that key VWAP level at 135. On my chart, it's 135.13. You've broken below 135 entirely. You're now in that 134 section. Google giving up a bit after a monster day yesterday. Same thing with TSLA here, the other outlier with a couple of lower highs, but definitely below that VWAP level at 243 and change. We're at in the low 242s. So interesting here that there is some convergence between the names with these two outliers, Google and Tesla. Despite the fact that they have lower highs, they are definitely below that VWAP level. Why are stocks bad boys? Because I feel like calling them bad boys, okay?
The stocks like do it to themselves, yeah. The stocks behave in a bad way, so they're bad boys.
Yeah, so that's what I want to see there. I want to make that point there. All these guys kind of looking in the same way, but what I have my eye on is definitely that 16,000 hold on the future, and so far we are definitely getting that hold. All right, it's 12 o'clock and it's time to restart.
Let's do it.
The lesson. All right, today we're talking about trading biases and how to deal with them, okay? That is going to be the topic for today. First and foremost, we want to define what biases are in day trading. But before we get to that, what are some other types of biases in psychology in general? There are several. There's cognitive, there's social, there is institutional, and there is unconscious bias. Okay. In day trading and investing, the biggest concern that we're going to concern ourselves with today is cognitive bias. We are going to concern ourselves with cognitive bias, which is defined as biases that emerge from the way our brains process information. And believe you and me, when you are trading, your brain is processing a lot of information. As a day trader or investor, it's very important for you to understand these biases early in your career. Doing so will help you avoid making the common mistakes and many market participants make. Yesterday, we talked about some of the data about the longevity of traders, the 5 stages that we talked about yesterday. If you didn't watch, go back and have a look at that, and how the majority of traders fail at the first step. And even if they do make it to the second step, 60% of them fail there. Very few will make it to the third, which we defined as the aha moment, kind of like the Newton under the apple tree kind of moment there. And this is one of those things that'll help you get to that third level. You have to be cognizant of your cognitive bias.
Cognitively cognizant.
Yeah, that was brutal. All right, moving on. Examples of bias in day trading. The first one we want to talk about is what is known as the anchoring bias. Anchoring bias is a psychological situation where you rely too much on the first information that you receive, while often ignoring or underestimating what follows. Perfect example, earnings releases. What do we have? We have the algo spike right at 4:05, right at 4:10, right at 4:15. They come in increments of 5 minutes typically, earnings releases. We have a huge algo spike, and the algos are reading the earnings, what the top line was, what the bottom line was, what the guide is, etc. It's able to digest all of that, and then it reacts far faster than you can read. But what comes after that is the earnings call, where new information is released. And oftentimes, we have a move in the same way that we had on the release of the earnings, we have a move on the earnings call. If you were to put all your eggs in one basket, you are negating what is going to be released and the implications of the information released during the earnings call, okay? So that is anchoring bias when you rely too heavily on the first pieces of data that you collect rather than taking in the full picture. Second, gambler's fallacy, okay? A gambler's fallacy is another type of bias in day trading. This is a situation where a trader makes a decision based on recent performance. For example, if a stock rises 4 days straight, a trader can assume or may assume that it will drop sharply the following day. We often talk about, people going against the trend, mean reversion traders. This kind of fits into that mold. If, it's up too much, it's too expensive, it's at a key resistance level, without waiting for confirmation, without looking at what the price action is doing, without being cognizant of the trend, you go ahead, you make the decision that it's up too much, it's too many days in a row that are green, and you're going to take it south today. Sometimes you get burned for doing that, okay? Risk aversion bias, the third type of bias we want to talk about here, okay? Risk aversion is a situation where a trader is afraid of taking risks in the market. For example, if a stock is in a bull run, a risk-averse trader may be afraid of entering the trade, fearing that it will soon reverse. In most cases, risk-averse investors allocate cash in relatively safe assets like high-yielding bonds or money market funds, certificates of deposit, what have you. At times, they miss the ongoing rally in the stock market because it's too volatile for them, they're unsure about it. And like Sean mentioned this, again, I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, but he said a scared trader is a deficient trader. So a scared trader typically has some elements of risk aversion bias, okay? Confirmation bias, the next type of bias we want to talk about, is a situation where a trader makes a decision based on what other people are saying. For example, A trader or investor may buy stocks only with buy ratings and short stocks only with sell ratings. That the opposite scenario might be true. Just because JP Morgan feels that AVGO is a go, right? Because they're looking for a better stock valuation-wise, market cap-wise than NVIDIA, doesn't mean that it's going to run, right? I mean, it just doesn't, okay? They may be looking to get in at a lower price. There could be any number of things here. Herding bias. This is a situation where a trader believes that the majority opinion is correct and the minority opinion is not. A little bit opposite here of confirmation bias. As a result, some stocks tend to be highly crowded, which leads to pricey valuations. For example, a company like NVIDIA has a PE, not a forward PE, just a regular PE of 61.5, making it highly expensive. You know the phrase, I did it because everyone else is doing it? That's essentially what the herding bias is, okay? Overconfidence bias. This one seems to be big with some traders. The other popular type of bias, known as overconfidence bias, is where you assume you have better skills than other people. Often, this effect comes from a streak of positive trades. You hit a couple of big bangers, all of a sudden, you're feeling yourself. You're flying high and you know better than everybody else. You start taking overconfident trades without the proper stops, without the proper analysis, and then you end up paying the price. So what are some of the impacts of these biases on day trading? The most important impact is where a trader takes losses because they did not follow the required analysis method. Now, we talked a lot about this in the managing or mitigating risk week, which is our first week here of how to trade, and we talked about the importance of having a plan, okay? An example is a trader with a herding bias will often follow the crowd while ignoring the 4 phases of the Wyckoff method. I keep referring to the Wyckoff method. Hopefully, we'll get to it in a future episode. Essentially, if you want to know a little bit about it, there's an accumulation phase, a markup phase, a distribution phase, and a markdown phase, okay? As a result, they buy stocks that are rising and hold it when it moves into the distribution and markdown phases. That's not where you want to be holding. There are other examples of how biases can affect day traders. For example, a trader with a confirmation bias will buy a stock because an analyst recommended it. While some analyst recommendations can work well, in some cases, they can lead to substantial losses. Haven't we all been there? These biases can also lead to other psychological issues like stress and depression. They can also cause many experienced traders to take major losses in the market. And we talked a lot about this. If you are not in your wheelhouse and you end up following somebody else's trades, if you're not following your own book, if you are not doing what you're comfortable doing, you're likely going to suffer some psychological impact of that, whether that's stress, loss of sleep, depression. We don't want to sound too down here, but this is the reality of the situation, okay? So how can you resolve the emotional and cognitive biases while you're trading? First and foremost, set and follow your trading rules, okay? I kept talking, giving examples of times when I take small cap gappers long. I'll never take them long south of VWAP. If I do take them long south of VWAP, then I'm obviously not following my rules. And when I go back and analyze my data, when I journal, I'm gonna basically have skewed data. I'm like, okay, well, I lost on INTS. Well, why did I lose on INTS? Well, because you took it south of VWAP, possibly, okay? Setting rules is the first plan. You should ensure that you follow them consistently, okay? The other thing is, there we go. I have to interrupt here because now we're coming into 16,000 on the NQ, and we just took a beak wetter. The Katina man is $1 in the money on something or another. Excuse me, he's $4 in the money on oh no, I'm not saying that. AMD. He's $4 in the money on AMD. And there we go. We are now knocking on the door of 16,000. Is the door going to open? We're on the other side, and there it is. We get another beak wetter there right at 16. Now we're waiting south of 16 on the future. We've been putting in lower highs, guys, okay? Double top at the top there at 16.1, 16.110, lower high, lower high, lower high. We've broken through a key resistance level. I'm talking about this level over here, 16.0 and a third, 16.0 and a quarter. That was an obvious support level, and then guess what? guess what? Support became resistance. Where have we ever seen that before? Okay? Where support flips to resistance. We're getting that right here, right now. You want a live example, look at the 1 minute or whatever, 5 minute on the future on the NQ. This is an obvious support level. You didn't hold up here for no reason. You didn't hold up here for no reason. And you didn't stop up here for no reason. This is how it works, okay? So we're getting a touch at 16 now. It's just going to be about whether or not we break through 16. A big fight between buyers and sellers is happening right now. We're going to have to see which way this resolves. We're already down a quarter point here on the NQ after, moving up quite nicely. I'm going to take another beak wetter here because we are doing the dance with no dang pants. And there we go to the south side.
Congratulations.
At 15,990. Nice touch. We're out of the majority of the position now. We're going to let this one ride. But there we go. Nice move down on the future. The lower highs, lower low, and the rejection of the previous support level now as resistance comes into fruition. And so if it comes back into my level, I'm going to end this trade. But nice move down here on the future. Yeah. So continuing on with what I was saying, another way of resolving the emotional and cognitive biases in trading is to, number one, we talked about set and follow your trading rules. The other one is risk management strategies, okay? Just have to see something. Pardon me. Here, what do we got? Yeah. All right. The other approach to solving biases is to ensure proper risk management strategies. Some of the top strategies will help you resolve this endeavor are using the right leverage size. I talked a little bit about this on the top of the show. IBKR, for example, gives me 3-to-1 here in Canada. In the States, apparently, Ivan or whoever in the chat was saying it was 4-to-1. So that is basically, if I deposit $1,000, I'm not saying they're going to give you 4,000. I'm just giving you the ratio, okay? If I deposit $1,000, they give me $3,000 in buying power. If I'm using too much leverage, I may find myself in some trouble. In addition to that, position sizing. If I'm taking too big of a position, I may not have the same psychological state of mind that I would have if I had taken something a little bit lighter. And especially when you are learning in the beginning, you need to start light. You need to see how you react to holding big size. You need to learn about yourself, okay? And then third is having a stop loss and taking profit. There's no point, letting it go through the resistance level without wetting your beak there. And the reason you've charted initially is because you know that level is going to be resistance and a possible area for it to bounce off of. So you need to be taking your profits at key resistance levels. Proper risk management will help you limit the size of your loss when you make a bias mistake. All right. The other thing you can do is to know yourself. Kind of mentioned this a little bit here when we talked about position sizing and knowing how you respond to certain situations in trading. But straight up, if you don't know yourself and how you react as a trader, you're not going to know exactly how you are going to do. So reflecting on your trading biases can help you identifying these biases and work on them. In most cases, dealing with these biases will not be easy. For example, it's not easy to avoid the herding bias when a stock is soaring. If everybody's buying NVIDIA hand over fist, but you don't really see the technicals or you don't see the fundamental case for it, sure, you may miss out if it continues to rise, but how many times out of 10 is that going to be the case? Sure, it may be the case on NVIDIA, but how about every other time it happened? And lastly is focusing on your strategy. The most important thing you need to do when trading is the need to have a good strategy. We talked a lot about that during the week on managing risk. You should create a strategy and test it in the sim before you decide to move to a live account. There are other approaches that will help you deal with these biases when trading and investing. For example, emotional control, taking small losses, and diversifying your trades will definitely go a long way. Some some technologies and trading strategies can help you deal with these biases. One of the top approaches is to use automated trading platforms. Like I told you before, we have an algo room. What these guys do is they program into P-Pro 8 using an API, and it basically does the buying and selling for them. It takes the emotional component out of it and also the subjective component out of it, and you make trades based on objective criteria and you remove the subjectiveness out of it. So that is some ways that you can help alleviate some of the emotional and cognitive biases in trading.
I think one thing that kind of came to me when you were talking was, I think like the reason you have trading rules or like, you know, no-goes or the way you trade should be for a reason, right? It's probably because something, you know, bad or not ideal happened when you didn't follow them. So like, for example, Sharif's rule about the small caps below VWAP, you know, that could be just because of the crazy volatility of small caps. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's interesting to think about why you have a rule set for a reason. So think about that when you want to break that rule, right? Like, oh, this thing happened before. And I know, you know, like, don't think of it in like as in a biased way, like fear. Think of it like you have your rules for a reason, you've set your rules for a reason, and then keep that in mind before you break them. Like that's why I'm trying to be a bit scalpier on stuff, because I know that's where I have more success, albeit, you know, in the sim. So I think that's just something worth noting that I took away from what Sharif just had to say there. Also, Andrew Ditter in the chat, sorry for the wait there. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Thank you for the educational lessons this week. Thank you for coming. Really important for us to rehear this, and let's look at some ETF sectors next week. Thank you. Yeah, there's like a whole host of future lessons that I have like written down in notes down the pipeline. But yeah, I will keep those ETFs in mind for sure for the future. Just trying to get out of this meta short here because we are getting past my comfort zone. We are quickly approaching that area. But yeah, I mean, I can talk through my trades here because I have been in some. So yeah, so this meta short I got in, my goal was, because we were seeing lower highs, lower lows. We kind of tried to break lower here and then we shoot back to the upside. We broke this higher high. I was outie, and I took pretty small share size here too, just because like I said, I think with some of my mega cap trades, my new strategy is being to take like little teeny tiny baby pieces so that I don't get too overwhelmed here. So also still in DocuSign. DocuSign is still kicking. I'm about to take everything out though. I'm noticing a lot of resistance here at this. Yeah, there we go. We're out of DocuSign. I was like, let's take the rest of the Beekwater here out at 49.50. My final trade, the one I'm most excited about, was this Lululemon. I was so patient. I waited for her to, do a somersault in leggings into this area. We had a dip. I was patient. I watched. I waited. Sim still also a reminder there too. But yeah, I really like this. I'm getting out part of my trade here. For 492, we're getting out half the position because that's where we saw the most recent high. And I like to use the previous highs as like an area just in case they do serve as resistance. So we can take a little bit out there, little beak wetters, little nibbles. But yes, we're getting out at 492 because that was where we kind of got to earlier on the wick. And then after that point, we're going to kind of see, I would like to, if I go back previously here, this thing will kind of run usually a few dollars. I'd probably give it the rest of my position to about 493.50. That's my own, my strategy, how I feel comfortable with it. Kevy saying, yay, I'm still in Lulu. Congratulations to you. Hopefully you are somersaulting with joy, cartwheeling with joy, doing aerials with joy, because I think this has been quite the opportunity. But again, because we were talking about biases, I didn't want to just get in this because everybody's already in it. I didn't want to herd into Lulu, which is why I waited for that pullback, and then that's why when I took my little feet in. Do you know what I mean? So there we go.
Apple 195 again, guys. Very important level. We've been talking about this level for a couple of days now, and here we go on AAPL as we move right back. What the hell is this? Geez, Wix, man, unreal. Bring in this one. We've been talking about this level I don't know how many times now. Yesterday it was obvious level. There's a huge seller sitting there at 195 and has been for the last couple of days. We're about 3 pennies away from it again. Yesterday we didn't breach it despite touching it, I think twice, maybe once or twice. I think we got to 98s on one occasion. Yeah, it was 98 here at around 1040, and then the only time we touched it yesterday was at around 1220. We've touched it multiple times today. There we go, rejecting off it again. So another 195 touch on AAPL. We'll see if this move up here on the future through 16050 can kind of propel Apple through that key resistance level. Let's go back and see when the last time we were at 195 or broke through 195 was. Yeah, you got to go all the way back here to August 3rd, the last time we were above 195, and that was a really, really, really bad day for Apple. I don't know if that was earnings, but look at the subsequent days. My goodness. When we were kind of dancing around that 197 and change, that day had a range of 196 and a quarter to the high side and 184 or 185 to the low side. So it was essentially $11 worth of range on Apple in one day.
That's crazy.
Very unusual. You don't get that kind of range
Apple doesn't
on
usually
Apple.
move like that. Like it's not like an Nvidia or a Tesla.
No, definitely not. Obviously, the downtrend that we had been kind of on Apple since the end of July, early August, got broken here when we really started trending aggressively in early November after a bad October. So that trend line got broken. Now we're really looking at all-time highs if we can kind of get back into these late July, early August levels. The best we've ever done on Apple was this day over here, which was July 19th, and the high there was 198.23. We'll have to see if we can get back into that area, but we're awfully close on AAPL. So again, we're like a couple of pennies south of that 195 level on AAPL. We'll have to see how we do. How are you able to see a huge seller at 195 on Apple? MGT asks. Well, you need something called level 2, okay? And if you don't have level 2, it's kind of hard to day trade. I'm looking right here. Okay, look at over here. Look at this 195 and see this numbers beside it. Each one of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a ton of size. That's not share size. Those are lots. So there's like almost, I'd say almost 5,000 lots more from what I can see at that level. And that's why we've been holding below 195 for some time. You got to eat through all that share size. I don't know what the notional is on that. I have to do the math, and I'm not going to do that right now. So huge size at 195, not surprised, just given what the price action's been doing. We'll have to wait and see if this nice market move here into 16,050 can kind of propel us through here. What's up, Katina, man? It's about $100 million in notional. 500,000 shares multiplied by 200, essentially. So what is that? What's 500,000 multiplied by 200? It's about $100 million. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Bang on, Katina, man. It's about $100 million worth of sell orders. And that's the sell orders we can see. We've talked about this before. There is something called iceberg orders that are not reflected on the level 2. You hide your desire or your order to sell or buy. They can be both ways. In exchange for hiding your orders from the market, you get put to the back of the line, so you will be last to be filled. And oftentimes, the way you can see whether an iceberg is there or not, because all the size on the book gets eaten up and it's still not moving through that. So that's kind of like the tell that you have an iceberg order. 258,100 shares, says Tammy B.
I actually have a question about the Apple and the sell thing. So you identified, and thank you for like showing this, because I think it's a really clear example of that flat top, longer term resistance area of 195 on Apple. With that in mind, do you think that could be why there are so many sellers at 195? Because other people are recognizing that this is a bit of an area of resistance.
We've broken through 195.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Right? But what you're saying is right. Yesterday we couldn't break through it, and well, there it is. Did we get a print above 190? We're very close to breaking, guys. I just saw okay, we're at 99s. We haven't gotten to. I'll get to your question in a second.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, it's okay.
We're here. We go. Now we're here. We go to 195. DAC is offering. People in the chat will understand that. But there we go. Now I just saw 195 print. We're doing that dance right here. Now keep in mind, right? We could really skyrocket above 195 upon the break, or we could skyrocket and then tank, right? Which I've seen this happen a million. There it goes. We break through it. Here we go on AAPL. 195.19 high. Do we stay at these levels, or do we tank right back down? We'll have to wait and see. We're holding up in the low teens here, and the market just propelled through 16,050. So it's given Apple a buoy, and more pleased I could not be But nice move on AAPL. We haven't tanked yet. I was anticipating, to be honest with you.
That's a beautiful candle there, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna have to fix this wick when I send it to you because it's really distorting the entire chart, but I'll do that in a second. I was anticipating that we would break through break through that 195 level and then tank right back down, given what I had seen Apple do at 180. This exact thing unfolded at the $180 level back in the summer, and we were watching Apple for days and days waiting for that 180 level to break, and when it did, it broke it by a couple of pennies and then just absolutely tanked. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this time around. 195.19 Adara is the high of the day on AAPL.
Yeah, Apple is beautiful. Also beautiful is Miss Lulu. $1 paper trade on that one. I already took out half my position there. I really like where I got in here. I'm really proud of myself here for like just being really patient, because I've had my eye on this one since the midday began, but I wasn't seeing any dips. I was like, I really need to, wait for a moment. I saw the moment, I took it, and I'm happy. You know what I mean? And so I have no qualms about this right now. Right. We seem to be stalling just a skosh at that 492, but I know how Miss Lulu moves. She moves very similarly to Netflix. She moves very similar to Eli Lilly. These are stocks that I like because they're very slow until they're not. So I'm going to wait for her. If we see a lower low, I will have to part with Miss Lulu. I'll have to, she will stay and I will go. But that being said, yeah, crazy strength on this one. I'm really happy I was able to take advantage of that $2 movement. Like I said, the way this one's moving, I'm going to give myself about $4. So I'd like to get out just below that 494. Ideally, should all things go to plan. So I just wanted to have a quick update on that one with regards to this trade and just trying not to avoid the bias of trend topping or herding, because I was really, I didn't want to herd. Thank you. I didn't want to herd in this one because I knew there was tons of strength. So I was like, we're just going to be patient. My risk basically on this one wasn't really, it was kind of just like if it goes below $1, just because I know how these ones move. But yeah, I think this is really too, I think recently I think it was last week, someone was mentioning in the chat, when does it go from having stocks you like to being biased and having the stock kind of be, I guess, an issue for you. And I would say there's nothing wrong with knowing a stock really well. Obi really knows his Amazon. I spend too much time looking at Eli Lilly, which is kind of a weird stock to be into, but you know what I mean? So I think if you know how a stock moves, sometimes that could be a good thing. It can help you, be more cognizant of the movements and then trade. Yeah.
All right, guys, we are brought to you by Benzinga. Use the link in the description for Benzinga's greatest deal of the year, including 75% off Benzinga Pro, monthly now as low as $49.25. The everything terminal for retail traders. Visit pro.benzinga.com and use the coupon code TTVNOV, that's TTVNOV for November, to save 75% off. New subscribers only, and conditions do apply. And as I do every time, I must reference Adara and her daily use of Benzinga.
Hello, Benzinga.
Yeah, so
here you are.
Adara is using Benzinga daily to prep the watch list, to see what's moving when she's at the big desk and the big kahunas are on, everything like that.
Yeah, for example, now I know that Lululemon got a maintained equal weight on Wells Fargo, and they raised the price target to $450. I wouldn't know that had I not had Benzinga just, drop that below here. So yeah, lots of analyst update, lots of little baby stocks. I think it's a really good way to find news on small caps as well when I'm doing the small cap gappers, because they're really on that. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's, I really find it legitimately very helpful. And I know Sharif's always shouting it out there. Yeah, good times. In terms of what is happening in the Pranaya, please tell Miss Lulu I say hi. I am waiting for her at 495. Yeah, I mean, beautiful time. She's tumbling to the upside now on the trampoline. I need to stop making weird gymnastics puns because it's leggings. It's not gymnastics. But, good times. Yeah, it is. Yeah, sim trades. Yeah, thank you, Sean, in the chat there. Yeah, these are sim trades. But yeah, beautiful times. Good times.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's see what else is going on. Anything in the chat here? Oh, nice comment from Matthew Cabral. We love Adara's commentary and Sharif's insight. That is nice of you to say. Thank you for that. Andrew Ditter, Lulu is definitely a she, her, and miss for sure. Yeah. You know, they got guys clothing too. In fact, you know, they were supposed to expand their men's apparel line as to gain more market share. Yeah, not this earnings report. The one prior to that, they said they were expanding their men's line. Anybody who's been into a Lulu store knows the men's is like a third, maybe even less, a quarter of the store, and then the rest is more female apparel. But yeah, I got a lot of Lulu stuff. I got a lot of their shorts. Their shorts just absolute quality.
You like the leggings too, right?
I wear a lot of leggings. Yeah, I do, and I get scolded for that. I don't give a, you know what. So yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Great move today too on Meta. It's not just Apple that's moving, and Meta is up over 1%. Oh, by the way, Brendo sent me this not that long ago. Amazon with a headline right here, guys. Amazon X has reportedly discussed the potential partnership with Amazon that makes X ads available through Amazon's ad buying software, according to the Wall Street Journal. So keep an eye out for that. Possible moves here on AMZN. But for the moment, it looks like we're rejecting that 16050 on the future, and that's causing a little bit of a downturn here in some of these mega cap names, Apple included, as it retraces off that 195 and a quarter high, coming back down into 195. We'll see if that former resistance level can act as support. Do we get a bounce here at 195, or are we gonna, you know, just make a higher high and then huadunk? We'll have to wait and see what we end up getting here. Ram in the chat says Aloe over Lulu. Does Aloe have men's clothing? Ram?
I don't think. I've never seen men's clothing in Aloe.
Aloe is good, says Paulie D. I know that they have a huge store at Bay and Bloor.
They have a store, I believe,
in
in Eaton Center too.
Bloor,
yeah.
Ram is there all the time, so any stalkers, there you go. Their shirts are excellent, says Kaladin Skybreaker. Yeah, they're pretty good. I have a couple of Lulu shirts, not as many. I have way more Nike stuff than I have Lulu stuff, and there's a reason for that. I scalp all my Nike stuff from like Winners and Marshalls and stuff like that.
I get some stuff at Zara at Winners, I'm not gonna lie. You can get nice brands at Winners. You get Zara at Winners, so my mint green blazer, which I've worn on here before, Zara, $20. So, you know, things can occur. Good times. Go Winners.
So Ram just told me a story about Brendo that must be shared on air. Brendo went to an Aloe store in New York, bought himself a $320 hoodie. Yo, he looked at it. Oh, I'm sorry. He only looked at it. Like a Tina man spinning the money there. No, he looked at it. He didn't break the purchase. But $320 for a dang hoodie. And it's not even Gucci or anything like that. It's just,
I mean, it must have been a nice hoodie.
I'm listening to Ram in my ear. Anybody wondering here.
Yeah.
Say that again, Ram. Okay, it's $1 a day based upon
I love that.
the cost of how much she's paying. So if she wears it like, oh, say it's $1 a day if she wears it 300 times. So, all right, John, not to be annoying, but it's A-Low. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. I've never shopped there, so I have no idea how to pronounce the name. A-Low, says John Del Segno. Please focus the camera on Ram, Arshad Hussein wants. Well, she's controlling it, so she'll have to make that decision. Hoodies should be business attire, says Rushba Shah. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Katina Man is not wearing a hoodie today, so. AK, thought Sharif said Adara a day. I don't know what that means. Kinzu, 300 US? Yeah, because he was in New York, so it was definitely 300 US. Okay, quickly back to trading. As quickly as we dip below 195 on AAPL, we find ourselves right above that level, so a bit of a liquidity grab through that 195 dip into 194 low 90s, and we're right back there into the 195 10s. Microsoft is moving up as well, moving into that 373 area. The future is back above 16050, so it looks like we're running up a little bit here after a momentary pull down. We'll have to see what we get. Wanted to mention that the weaker Mag 7 names are definitely Google and Tesla on the day. They are both below VWAP. and both are still putting in lower highs. The other names like Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, and are putting in higher highs. NVIDIA could be categorized in that lower high conversation, but it is above VWAP at the moment. John, live by one in New York City, crazy, cool, and expensive store too. Okay, all right. Elon, hi Sharif. A Gucci easily costs a couple of $1,000s at Stacks. No, I've seen Gucci hoodies that are less than that. Super SPAC Man, a small cap for you, over 10% and looking good on the daily chart. SPRU, he says. Let's have a look at SPRU and what it's up to at the moment. Okay, come to the chart, Ram. SPRU, here we go. So that's the daily. Looks like they split back in July. There we go. 1 minute. SPRU. What's going on here? I don't see anything. So SPRU is up 10%, but the volume on is 33,000, my friend. Super SPAC Man. How am I supposed to trade this? This is like a death trap. There's no volume on here. I mean, just looking at the candles.
It's 26,000 volume, yeah.
Yeah, I see 33.
Okay, so
yeah,
it's
same
slightly,
thing.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I can't trade something like that, obviously. But yeah, it's up 10% on the day, and nothing to speak badly of. It's just the volume isn't there. A good question here. Here's a good one for you, Katina man. Charlie Taff asks: start Russell Wilson or Josh Dobbs this week? Josh Dobbs this week. He says Russell Wilson. So there you go. The Katina man spoken, baby. Eh? He says Josh Dobbs sucks. Sorry, man. I don't know anything about Josh Dobbs. I know Russell Wilson. But yeah, that is being said out there. Eric Loonville. What do you think of Square, TSQ, APPD to short stocks? SQQ is clearly just the NQ, but in triple inverse. So I don't look at that. I look at the NQ, and I've made a point as to why. I don't care what retail is doing. I care more about what institutions are doing, and institutions use future contracts to hedge positions, and therefore they're a bit more important in my eyes. So the future right now is not shortable to me.
Did you see Ramin's comment in the chat?
No. The way I spend, I should try and pay attention and learn how to trade. Bang, Ram.
I love the comments. They're always like so great. They're so fun.
Yes, Ram's spending up a storm over there. The Chilean Nightmare bought a new car, and now Ram is buying new clothes.
What kind of car? Oh.
Ram has 2 new cars.
Awesome.
Okay. Oh wow, that's a whole lot of money around here. Eh? Jeez. Oscar plays. Adara Sharif, is Max still at your show? He's right back there. He's on the floor, guys. He's just not on the broadcast anymore. Still trading, still with the firm, still on the floor, guys. The mad one. I bought a new toaster oven, says free rhymes with AMC. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Is there anything special about it? Does it like, I've seen toaster ovens for some for these novelty inclined people. Like there was a Batman toaster, so it would toast like the Batman logo darker.
My dad would
than
love
the
that.
other,
That's
the
so
other
cute.
part. Yeah, which is pretty cool. It was pricey though. It was like
Yeah, I'm
over
sure.
like $150.
So I know, I forget what was special about the toaster, but I did know someone who had an $800 toaster. And I don't know what it did. Yeah.
I had to like run that through my mind.
I could tell it was.
What the hell was it doing?
I don't think it did anything. I never like used it, but no, because my friend was like, yeah, I went to their house and they had this crazy toaster. Then she looked it up, and it was an $800 toaster.
My goodness.
Yep.
All right, Catrick S. Sharif, Upstart has a 40% short. Why does it keep going up? Because people keep buying.
They keep starting it up. Sorry.
There you go. Look, Upstart has been getting a nice little balance with some of these other BNPL plays. Let's have a look at Upstart. Let's look at the daily candle first and foremost, identify the daily trend. As you can see, obviously, we are still far off the highs that we made during the pandemic, September, essentially fall of 2021, before we had Jerome Powell get on the mic. We hit that $400 area, or maybe just a smidge
This is
below.
quite the chart, yeah.
It's a bad look, obviously. Let me put in the
It's like a
ticker real
Christmas
quick.
tree.
Yeah,
it has
is
Randy's
worse.
Christmas tree retracement.
Oh yeah, Absolutely.
I still love that term.
Christmas
It's a great way
tree
of
as
putting
it
it.
gets right here. But yeah, essentially we bottomed out at that $12.50 area. We had a great little run there in the summer when we popped up into 72.5. But before we did, we had a nice little move up here into that $38, $40 area. So I'd earmark that as the first level of resistance. Clearly, you know, we're finding another new little uptrend breaking through this crest over here, making a newer high, local high, obviously. I'd say that this area here has to be the area you're looking at as a level of resistance, $39, essentially $40, give or take that area. Moving back, do we have confluence with a previous area? Yes. So this crest over here back in August 2022, also the same area, $38, $39 area on that time as well. Look, hard to know why. I mean, I really haven't been seeing too much data come out about Upstart, more about Affirm and what they've been doing and the partnerships they've been making with some of these online retailers. So we'll have to see how Upstart does, but yeah, heavy short float on that Adair.
Yeah. Yeah, Upstart, we'll see if it starts up. In the meantime, Lulu seems like she's, she's doing some stretches. She's taking a little pause here in her leggings. If we make a lower low, I will say no. That was a terrible rhyme, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I don't want to make a lower low here. That's the one thing I'm a little concerned about. If we break 490, we will. But I do not dislike the stock, and I'm still happy I took my beak wetter. Again, paper trade here, paper money, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, good times. The Dan Zone in the chat, thanks for everything you guys do. Thank you. Question, would you say that 196.50 is the next possible strong rejection on Apple? I was thinking of adding that to my sticky notes. Let's look at Apple longer term here. 196.50. The daily on this Apple here. 196.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I think when we were high, that was kind of the last area we were around. So I think that would be definitely an area of note. I can't say for sure it is necessarily rejection, but I would say definitely, I think an interesting area given that we kind of did see some struggles around this 196.50 area going back to July, August 2023. So that I think is an interesting area. Bears versus Bulls, did you know McDonald's is spinning off? Yeah, we did. Yeah, the Cosmics. Yeah. But yeah, no, to answer your question, the Dan Zone, I think definitely 196 an area of note. With Apple, I would be cognizant of that because, yeah, I think once we break over that 195, which we just did there, I think it would be interesting. Yeah.
K-Pro. I don't usually read out aggressive comments like this, but I think it should be read because it's a different opinion. What kind of morons are buying Apple at almost all-time highs and a market cap over $3 trillion? Are people just dumb? How do you think you're going to feel when it hits $4 trillion? No, man, look, don't make pronouncements as if you know what the future is going to be, okay? Because if you were saying that at $2 trillion, how silly do you feel now? I respect your opinion to feel that it may be overextended, but I wouldn't call people morons. I wouldn't go and disparage people. Just say that you don't agree with the valuation and stay out of the name. There's no reason to kind of get aggressive like that. While you're entitled to your opinion and everybody's entitled to their opinion, let the market dictate what's happening. If you disagree, stay out of it. Nobody's forcing you in the trade. Nobody's forcing you to buy the stock, okay? So just take it easy, brother. Do you want to start?
Yeah, let's do it. Then? Yeah, just just trying to get my Lulu life together here because Lulu is falling below where I was interested in her, so we're going to try to sell that. But yeah, in the meantime, let's talk about biases. So here we go. Definitions of day trading in bias. What are we talking about when we say biases? So basically, they're emotional features. They're a part of everything, but especially in trading, really important to keep in mind because they do, these emotional aspects, as we've been talking about all week with psychology and trading, they really do impact how you trade. They impact mental, but also the trading here. But yeah, so basically, there are different types of biases in trading, and bias is basically defined as a situation where investors, at least bias in relation to trading, where investors will make decisions not based on facts, not based on their plan, but based on preconceived notions that they may possess. So numerous types of bias in trading psychology, including cognitive, social, institutional, unconscious. But we're going to talk about cognitive bias. That's the biggest concern here. It's basically defined as concern or biases that emerge from the way our brains process info. So as a day trader or an investor, it's really important to understand these biases early in your career, because when you understand them, you're more able to connect them. Also, as someone learning about bias here too, I feel like, as I'm still, learning to trade paper trading, I'm definitely still in the sim here. I think it's nice to know too that, other people are dealing with these biases as well, right? You're not the only person dealing with them. So I think that's really important. I mean, I like Steven here in the chat. You try to treat the market as rational and you lose. It will humble you. Yeah, I mean, the thing is too, we have to be rational. I would say that would be my response in a market that often can be irrational. So I think that's really worth noting, and I appreciate you saying that here. So what else is happening here too? That if you're more aware of your bias, you can, stop making common mistakes. Some of these biases that are major ones to note here do include anchoring bias. So that would be a psychological situation wherein you rely too much on the first information you get, and then you ignore other info that might be important, that might also play a role in the stock. So for example, you hear a couple really bad ratings on a stock and you're like, oh, that stock's gonna do really badly. And then you do not engage in that stock, or maybe you sell your shares, but then it goes to the upside because there was actually, really good earnings or really good calls or something like that, right? Do you know what I mean? So I think that's really important here. For example, a trader placing a trade or placing a long, going long when a company releases strong financials, but then the guidance, maybe it might be a little bit Elon Musk, a la the most recent Tesla earnings. The guidance goes a little off the rails, a little bit different, and so then people get, maybe a little bit nervous, and then there's a sell-off, and you just bought into it based on the earnings alone, right? So think about different aspects of trades to keep in mind here. Gambler's fallacy. It's another type of bias in day trading. This is when traders make decisions based on the most recent performance. So for example, a stock's been up for 5 days. You assume that, oh, it's gonna have to go to the downside now, right? It can't have that much momentum. Maybe it can. Each situation is different, so you can keep that in mind, but also don't make the decision based on that alone, right? Make sure you have some time here. Risk aversion bias. It's a situation where a trader is afraid of taking risks in the market. So for example, if a stock is in a bull run, a risk-averse trader might be afraid of entering the trade for fear that it'll reverse soon. And in most cases, risk-averse traders, they do tend to allocate cash in more safe aspects here, assets. So it'll be like high-grade bonds, money market funds, certificates for deposit. So then they'll kind of miss the ongoing rally in the market. So confirmation biases as well. That's a situation where a trader will make a decision based on what other people are saying. So the trader or the investor will just buy stocks with more rating or worth more buy ratings. They'll short stocks with more sell ratings. But then sometimes the opposite scenario can be the best, right? Because it's just one analyst's opinion sometimes. So yeah, very interesting to note as well, confirmation bias. There's also overconfidence bias. So that's when you feel a little bit ego puffed up, you've got a couple good trades, you're feeling great, you're high on life, you're doing super well, and then it makes you basically think that you're doing better than other people, that you have more skills than other people, and that can kind of be unfortunate, right? Then you can kind of gloss over your instincts, you can gloss over the analysis and just assume that you know everything, when no one knows everything all the time, right? So just another bias to keep in mind. Here, herding bias as well. This one's, the principle of, oh, if I jumped off a cliff, would you do it, right? Like doing something because everyone else is doing it. It's the in thing. Everybody's going to the mall. Everyone's, going in Lululemon. That's why I waited for that dip on Lulu, because I think, I was worried that it was going to be a situation where everyone's in it and then it falls to the downside, right? And so sometimes stock will be highly crowded and then it'll lead to higher valuations and just a lot of crowding situations here. Impact of bias in day trading. So biases have major impacts on day traders and investors. We're talking about day trading here, of course, right? So basically the biggest impact is traders will just take losses because they didn't follow the required analysis method. They were, had the bias weighting too heavily on their shoulders. And so a trader with a herding bias, might follow the crowd and then ignore, their own analysis methods, right? Or if you have a confirmation bias, you buy a stock just because an analyst said it was, a great move, but maybe some really bad news comes out that day. Maybe there's other aspects to keep in mind here, right? And so basically these biases, not to get a little bit dark here, but in extreme cases, we can have situations where they can lead to psychological issues like stress or depression, or cause experienced traders to take major losses in the market, not because they don't know what they're doing, but because the mental processes are getting in the way. So how do you solve emotional and cognitive biases in trading? Set and follow trading rules. And I was saying, with regards to Sharif and his example with the not taking small caps long below VWAP. I think that's a really good example. And I think, probably these rules come from something happened, I would assume, and it, maybe like there was a bad experience with a small cap below VWAP, right? Or maybe just in general, you notice things. So I think that's why it's really important to put your analysis cap on and take your biases, leave them at the door, check them on the shelf. You know what I mean? Lock them up in the locker, stuff like that, right? So setting rules, like I said, is the first part. And so when you set these rules, it can kind of help you to follow them consistently, holding yourself accountable here, right? And so then also, risk management strategies. We talked about a lot of this in week 1 of how to trade. So basically, if you have proper risk management strategies and you set those consistently, you have consistent ones for each point of entry and exit. You have them planned ahead of time and you stick to your plan, you can avoid some of these biases coming as well, right? So this next one, shout out to Drake, know yourself. You can avoid some of these biases by just kind of reflecting, knowing more about yourself. And if you reflect back on your trading habits, you could be aware of them, and then you can kind of work on these elements as well. Dealing with biases is not going to be easy. It's psychology. You have to take time. You have to sit and, take your notes and do the work, put the work in. But then, maybe you can do really well. And it's really hard to avoid hurting biases. For example, hurting bias when a stock is soaring, but then you just wait, you stick to your plan.
Keep seeing sheep every time you say that.
Like
we're like, yeah, because you're saying hurting and biases. Like, come on, like
biases. But yeah,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. I got too into
It's not
that too.
you, girl. It's me.
I'm the problem. It's me.
No.
Oh no.
Go on.
Taylor Swift. But yeah, focusing on your strategy. The most important thing you need to do is to have a good strategy, and you can create the strategy and test it in the sim before moving on to a live account. That's why I'm really grateful to be able to be in the sim, right? So I can just kind of know what works for me, know what doesn't work for me. And I find, when you stick more to your plan, or for myself, when I stick more to what I find I'm more comfortable in, then I think it works out a little bit better for myself. And then, some technologies and trading strategies like algos, Sharif was talking about the algo room, that can be helpful too to deal with biases. So you can, backtesting was something we talked about, I believe, in Risk Management Week as well. One of the top approaches, using automated trading platforms, algos, to take subjective decision-making components out of your trades and just know technically, is my strategy sound? And that's also where stuff like journaling can come into it too, right? Like I loved Wayne's journal there reflecting on the trades. But yeah, I think, there we go. I think that's kind of the take on biases, and I think it's a pretty important part of trading. And like I said, I feel better knowing, that I'm not the only person going through trading biases. So I think it's a nice thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, we all are, trust me. Thank you very much to Jace Passion, says Sharif. That's how they always talk in Reddit. Instead of teaching each other, and helping each other out. Yeah, well, I haven't been on Reddit in a while, but yeah, I get what you see there. Guys, we just put up a poll in the chat, and the subject matter of the poll is what you guys want to see as a lesson for next week. We've narrowed these topics down to 3. Candlestick patterns, how to find stocks, like using scanners, news catalysts, watch lists, etc., or entries and exits. And by entries and exits, we'll incorporate many different things like event trading, how to get in on CPI, how to get in and out on earnings, how to get in on events. Remember the MetaConnect event that Adira talks about?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. Throw in your vote, please. Have your say as to what you want on to learn how to trade, and we will be very glad to oblige. The one with the most votes wins. So yeah.
I like that the events is on there. Yeah, like the trading. I think that'll be a good conversation, and we know I'm always looking for excuses to discuss the meta.
Event?
Yeah, thank you. The MetaConnect debacle.
Are those glasses out yet?
Okay, so
weren't they supposed to be out at the end of October? Ram, are they out? No.
People want entries and
Ram
exits,
says
at least
they're
in the
amazing
chat, so
and they're out. She's gonna buy them.
Here.
No,
okay, so we're gonna have
someone buy it for me. Period.
Oh, she's gonna make someone buy it for her. I'm sorry. Okay, all right, Ram. Let's find out here. Ray-Ban. AI, there we go. Ray-Ban eyeglasses? No, we want the AI ones.
There's also Joanna Brewster here saying to you in the chat, I'd like to say again, Sharif is one of your best. Love Brendan too, always so professional.
That's so nice.
So shout out
guys.
to you
Thank
and Brendan.
you very much for saying that kind words. I do appreciate that. Let's see, are these it right here? No, these aren't it. There we go. They're called the Meta Smart Glasses. All right, let's see how much they're gonna cost in Canadian dollars. That should be
I need to get my real glasses fixed before I get
Hold
smart
on.
glasses.
So Ray-Ban Meta Glasses Canada. Let's go. Where do I buy them? Is this Canada? Meta Smart Glasses. Let's just go through that. Okay, here we go, Adara. How much are these going to cost? How much do you think these are going to cost?
700.
Okay, so there's two. There is the Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarer? Wayfarers? No. Katina, man, leave me alone, bro. I'm not as apprised as you in the field. He says that the world's most famous sunglasses, and yet I don't know about them because, well, I'm an ignorant peasant. But that's here it is. And then there's a headliner. The Katina, man, not impressed with me right now. Ray-Ban Meta headliner. So we got $459. I knew it. See, Brendo? It wasn't going to be $199. We were right. $459 and $409 Canadian. What? You had something
so I have a question.
Yeah.
So are these like vision glasses too, or are they just meta vision? Because I need to get my real glasses fixed before I can go buy fancy glasses. But if these are also real glasses,
that's a good question.
I would be interested.
I got to tell you, I think that you could get real glasses in them because the only component is the camera over here.
That's true. Okay,
right?
so
The
I
lenses
could get my
don't
real
have
glasses.
anything electronic in them, right?
Okay.
No, I'm pretty sure there isn't.
They're not bad glasses. If they were different colors too, you know, that'd be
right.
Nice. But I don't dislike them.
Oh yeah, I don't dislike them either. I dislike their price. $459 and $409. I want to know how much they cost in the States. All right.
Also, shout out, thank you, iSpy Options. They are real glasses with the camera and mic in them. B-Leach also saying you can get prescriptions, and why not? For that price, better give me X-ray vision. So little clap there for why not.
All right, you ready for this? We're going to the American store, okay? Look at the difference in price, bro. It's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating. $299 US. They make more money. They have anyway. Let's stop. Let's stop. I'm stopping myself. $299 US, $329. Compare that to $369. Oh, they actually get more expensive depending on the color. They can be $459. Yeah, Katina, man. It's very frustrating.
What colors are there?
Well, there is this black one.
I like the purple.
Depends on the shade. So you can get that purple shade, you can get the dark ones, you can get the clear ones here, right? So these ones are the more expensive. The clear ones are $459. The dark ones are $369, and then these purple and the dark ones are the same price. So that's not too bad. Okay, that's $329 for
I like the brown. That's not bad.
So we don't even have those. Oh, do we have?
I was gonna say I feel like the brown could be your color there. I feel like I could see you rocking the brown sunglasses.
Saskatchewan asking, are you not trading in US dollars? Yes, but we're in Canada. I make my money in Canadian dollars. I have Canadian businesses, not American businesses. Eddie, ask Katina if he is more Ray-Ban Wayfarer or Ray-Ban Aviator man. Katina man? I have both. He has both. So he's more Aviator, he says. So shout out to Eddie. Oscar plays, Sharif, Adara, could you please explain your trading overlay, especially the left two columns? I got trading view and don't understand yours. Sure. Okay. So what you need to understand about our setup here is that it's composed of time and sales, which is the left column over here, the level 2, the book, market depth. They are all interchangeable names, and then we actually have the chart. So what is all this? The left side over here, time and sales, is showing you every single order going through the market right now on the MNQ. You see the price, the time, the actual gateway, and the time that that actual order went through. Every single order that goes through is going to show up on the time and sales. The color on mine denotes it has a specific meaning. Orange on the tape means orders coming in above the ask. That typically denotes market exuberance, right? Where you're willing to pay above what the asking price is. The green is at the ask. The yellow is the midpoint in between the bid and the ask. Red is on the bid. So you're getting sales on the bid. And then blue is below the bid, showing very like market weakness. So that's why I colorize it so that I can kind of see in real time what the current state of the market is, or what, you know, that kind of thing. The middle over here is a level 2. Now, level 2 in time and sales, not very important for futures trading, okay? But very important for equities trading. In fact, it's probably better to look at Apple, and that's what we're going to do. So over here, right here, you will see a gateway. The gateway is like a road that leads to, say, downtown Toronto. Several roads lead to downtown Toronto. You can choose to take Yonge Street, you can choose to take Avenue Road or University, you can choose to take Mount Pleasant. Ramram, come to the chart because I'm about to go back to it, right? So it's just the way to send your order to the market, a different gateway. Different gateways are used for different reasons, right? There are gateways that pay you money to add liquidity to the market. Sometimes you have to pay the gateway to get in. That's one of the strategies I teach here on the floor, how to route your order to the appropriate gateway. We're not going to get into that now, but you just need to understand what that is. Next to it, you have the price, and then you have the size. You have many different prices here, and the point is to kind of try to show you all the different levels where buyers and sellers are sitting, and what you're looking for is corresponding size next to it. And the reason you're looking at the size is you want to see if somebody's going to backstop you on a long or prevent you from running up on a long. So for example, say I'm long 195 on Apple, okay? And then I see here at 195.38, there's some size. If it was bigger than it is right now, it's only about 160 lots or so, maybe a little bit bigger than that. I need to take note of that because that seller there may prevent the price from going up if it's big enough. That's exactly what happened at 195. There was such huge size. It took so many attempts to break through that 195. We had almost $100 million of sell orders at that 195, meaning there had to be over $100 million of buy orders to move the price above 195. That applies in the inverse. If I'm short a stock and there's a big bid, say at 194, that's going to prevent the price from going below 194. So if I'm short, I have to be cognizant that may be a wall there. So that's what you're looking for on the level 2. With TradingView, I know that they had some sort of level 2. It's not like the kind that we have here. I don't use TradingView all that often, and I haven't used it in a while. But with my brokerage, I get time and sales, I get level 2, but you have to typically pay for your data allowances, meaning that in order to get the entire market picture, you're going to have to pay individually for each gateway. Some of the brokers, they offer gateways as packages. They'll say, I'll throw NASDAQ full view, I'll throw CBOE, I'll throw this, all for like a specified price per month. And the reason you want that is you want to be able to get a complete picture of the market to see what buyers are sitting where, what sellers are sitting where. Otherwise, you're kind of trading blind a little bit. So that's what level 2 is, and that's typically what it's used for. I hope that helps my friend. Yeah, Adira, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. No, I think that's interesting. I think it's a very, yeah, I think it's a good discussion too. Fee runs the AMC saying some brokers call it depth of market. Yeah, I think it's interesting too. It's helpful because it gives you a sense of, and also like when I first started, I did have, you know, I had a couple of trading sessions with, you know, the traders and stuff like that too, right? So I think it is, you're right. It's interesting how the extent to which like the gateways are super important and how you get in on trades and how you're choosing why you get in on trades, I think is really interesting. And I think it's very important. It's something that I think it's cool that, you know, we got to go over here.
Yeah. It's one of the first things they teach you when you get to the prop flow over here. They teach you the gateways. They teach you what each gateway you should be using it for. What inverse gateways are. You know, sometimes you have to, like you hear the Katina man and the Neil all the time saying, you know, they're getting paid to trade because the exchanges or the gateway is actually paying them to add liquidity back into the market because it creates a situation where they can fulfill orders because Sean's trading. So they have somebody on the other side of that trade. And so to them, it's worth it if they pay you because they're making more money in net. because of the other person that's paying. So that's kind of how that works. You have to be cognizant of which gateways do that, which gateways cost what if you're going to pay. And so you should be doing all that research. It's not that hard to find. You can find that information either on your broker's website or online. Make sure to apprise yourself of that. M. Mason, MLGO, please. That one was a small cap gapper from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a small cap gapper from Wednesday.
From Wednesday, thank you, Adira.
Yeah, it's been running for 2 days now.
Yes, you're right, because look at that monster day that we had on Wednesday, and then the exact inverse happened yesterday. We broke through that 19 and then huadunked all the way back into, geez Louise, $2. That's what I mean when I say they're here for a short time or for a good time, not for a long time, baby. MLGO seems to be kind of like within yesterday's range, right off the bat, I can tell you that. The highs of yesterday, the lows of yesterday are basically, you know, it's engulfing today's price action. I got to tell you, I've got nothing good to say about this right now. We have a series of lower highs.
Looks descending.
It is, right? And then we have a bit of a flat top here. Support, 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 and again, support. So it looks like a descending wedge. This could be a flat bottom break. Not saying it's going to manifest into that, but something.
I love that animation.
It is. The Chilean Nightmare made it.
Oh, it's amazing.
It could manifest into that. You have a 205 close. You know, you can see 205 as the possible support level or that whole dollar or two. I got nothing on this trade on the day. I got to tell you, it's got to get out of this range. The trade I'm in right now is the future long. We took it long at 64s. We got a beak wetter there at 75.
This is beautiful.
It's stair-stepping slowly. We had the short on. The short was a banger earlier. Now we flipped long. We're looking for a possible move back into 16.1. Ultimately, I will be looking for real resistance at 16.1. But there's another question here, which is, do we make a lower high, right? We're in a bit of trouble. We got into that. Initially, we got into 16.113, and then the best we could do on this peak over here was 16.112. So we've got, yeah, it could be a double top. They're essentially the same levels. I wouldn't really say that that's a lower high per se. It is strict in the strict sense, but I don't know if it is in the actual sense. So we'll see. We're moving up here on the future. I'm looking for ultimate resistance at 16.1. Probably unload the entire position at that 16.1 area, but it was a nice dip and rip.
Oh, it's
right?
beautiful.
Yeah,
I was going to say, what I like too is where you had the profit taker there. If you go back to the
let me go to here. Yeah.
So I like that you had it literally where we were kind of starting to like run, you know, have some kind of chop and consolidation over there. I think it's like a really good example. And it's the stuff I kind of like to look for as well. And I think like that's why I really appreciate like, you know, you talking about like always the consolidation elements and just the higher highs and higher lows. I swear, I'm just like I'm just gushing over this trade, but I think it's a really cool out, and I think it's a good example in practice. I can gush if I would like to gush.
You can gush on whatever you want to gush. No one going to tell you what you can and can't gush over.
That's what I'm trying to say is I think it's really cool, especially as someone who's learning, to see this in practice and be like, this is what you're talking about, and that's how it works. Yeah. So I think I just really like it.
We'll see if it manifests into a good trade. So far, so good, but it could turn on me in a second, so we'll have to wait and see whether we get. But ultimately, guys, I am looking for a 16.1 retracement and looking to unload the position in front of that.
Yeah.
Aaron and Joanna Brewster, I think the NQ might go higher because Apple is breaking up higher. You would not be wrong on that.
Too, yeah.
Let's see what Apple's weighting is on the NQ at the moment, because it's probably an absolute monster. Let's see here. Apple weight NASDAQ. NASDAQ 100. There we go. NASDAQ 100 companies by weight. AAPL weight 11.38%. 11.33% is Apple. It's over 10%. So is Softy. Softy and Apple are 22 or almost 22% of the dang and NASDAQ 100. Two stocks are almost a quarter, almost more than 1/5 of the entire NASDAQ 100. That should give you an idea about their importance. So I do agree with you, Aaron and Joanna Brewster, with respect to that. We'll have to see if Apple can hold that important 195 level, because it is an important level given how much we were dancing on. Now, We are supposed to be talking about biases today. We've gone through the lesson a couple of times.
Yeah.
Guys, do you have any questions with respect to cognitive bias? Adair and I have been talking about cognitive bias today and the implications that that has on your trading. We talked about some steps to help alleviate that, but being aware, being cognizant of your cognitive bias, that's brutal.
Being cognitively cognizant
There you go.
can have positive consequences. I will wordplay all day.
That's your specialty. That's your modus operandi.
Yeah.
Any questions, guys?
Yeah.
Put them in the chat.
Speaking of bias, someone mentioned Adeline, shout out to you in the chat. Adara, check out LLY, and we spoke about my little bias towards Miss Lily.
Go for it.
Eli Lilly is crazy, but still below a milli, so I'm saying goodbye to Eli Lilly. But yeah, literally from 11:15. So had I gone long on this, but I would not have gone long on this because we were, again, 300,000 shares, and my risk management principle tells me nah. But and again, paper trades too, just to keep that in mind here. But 585 to 595, this would have been a $10 trade. So if anybody in Eli Lilly here, keep that in mind. That is beautiful. Still below a million though, so this is like a little baby volume situation here today. What news? Oh my gosh, my contact lens is doing things. What news is there on Miss Eli Lilly? Oh, okay. So the company has announced an increase in quarterly dividend from 113 to 130 per share. And that was basically when we started ripping. That was our friend Benzinga announced this at about 11:30. So that's when we really saw that spike to the upside. So I think this is really interesting. Yeah, but again, I wanted to be more conscious before just hopping into the Eli Lilly situation because, you have to be aware of your biases. I am aware that this is a trade that I look into quite a lot. So I was trying to be aware there. I like Matthew Kerbal here in the chat. Tough part about trading is even when you are right, you can be wrong and lose money based off the stop being too late. Always learning lessons. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, right? And that's why I really appreciate, I'm still learning, and I love that everybody in the chat here is really open about their learning experiences. Sharif talking to me, helping me learn, Sean, Neil, everybody. Like, it's just, I think, such a good environment to be in, and I love everybody in the chat here being a part of that. So thank you for saying that, Matthew Cabral. Very sorry about the losing trade, but you know what? Like, if you stuck to your principles, because you're mentioning with stop here, it sounds like you stuck to your principles, and I think in some ways that can matter as well, right? Like getting out when your stop triggers.
Some great comments in the chat here. Tisha, I'm going to get to your blue in 1 second, I promise you. But Big Kyle Burdett here had a really good comment with respect to biases that I want to read out for the entire chat. And I don't mean to put you on blast, Kyle, but I think we can definitely, help one another through shared experience. And that's why I'm reading it out. Kyle goes on to say, Sharif, having a bias has made me, and I think he means has made me lose large sums of money. Has made me and lost me. Sorry, I read that wrong.
So good and bad.
Having a bias has made me and lost me large sums of money. My inability to flip-flop is something I have to be conscious of, and I am working to remedy. Shout out to you, man.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for saying that in the chat. Yeah.
The fact that you know yourself, Kyle, that was part of the lesson about getting to know yourself.
Shout out to Drake.
It sounds super cliche and corny, but in order to, it's the first step into fixing it is to recognize that this is an issue. If you don't recognize it, how can you take steps to alleviate it or to fix it? So shout out to you, man. I'm rooting for you. Obviously.
Yeah, Kyle saying, Sharif, no worries. We're all here to learn and get better every single day. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, Kyle, for all of that. And that's why I appreciate everybody this week kind of sharing their stories, and Wayne sharing his trading journal and you sharing your trading journal. Yeah, like we're all literally, it's a learning process and a reflection process. And I think part of, especially, it's like, I think someone said this too, but I think being able to be, trading for everybody and talking through your trades is a bit like a trading journal too, because you reflect on everything too. Yes. So yeah, very interesting experience, and I really appreciate everybody's involvement here in the chat. Absolutely, well said, Adair. All right, Tisha wants me to look at blue. She's like, it's been halted for a while. Well, here's the daily look. Let's put the ticker in there so people can follow along. Here's the look on blue. It has been halted since around 11 something. The look down, the larger look on blue here since July 2020 or from 2020 it's not a good one, guys. It's a little sad. Down and to the right it is, yeah. We're coming from 70 something. I'm not even zooming out anymore, but essentially down and to the right, and then we did find a bit of a base, has to be said, at that $2.75, $2.50 area. Seems to be a bit of a bottom.
We had a nice move up in November, December, where we got to 850, but since that time, it's been lower highs, and yeah, that 250 came into play again. I don't want to say lower lows because we essentially have a flat bottom here, but it's been curling back up, breaking above local highs. That $5 area was an interesting area of resistance, no question about that. We've broken through it. We have a 553 high today. So that's the daily look. Now let's go to the 5-minute look, and you can see it's been halted since 11:15 or so with a sideways move. Now, what's the idea? What's the catalyst? What I'm trying to say. Bluebird bio details plan for commercial 3. Here is the press release. So this is why this one started moving. We got the approval. Bluebird Bio announces FDA approval of
Lyfgenia?
Lyfgenia.
I'm gonna say that confidently and pretend that's how it's said.
I think you're actually right on that.
Lyfgenia?
Yeah. Lyfgenia for patients ages 12 and older with sickle cell disease, a noble cause, definitely. I always like to champion these ones. This is reported here by Benzinga. Shout out to Benzinga, sponsor of the show. Now, I can't see why it's halted on my platform. So what do? I go to the NASDAQ halts page, okay? So I'm going to show you in real time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go NASDAQ halts, and you'll see that one coming up. Then you'll see the first one come in here, current trading halts, and I'm going to hit Control F for find, and I'm going to look for blue, and there it is.
Oh, okay.
So it tells me reason codes T1, T2, and T3. So there's 3 of them. I can learn what each of those is, okay?
That's cool, okay.
So you can see how you mouse over it. It'll tell you T1, halt, news pending. Trading is halted pending news of material, release of material news. T2 is news released. The news has begun the dissemination process through a regulation FD compliant methods. And then T3, which is T3 news and resumption times. The news has been fully disseminated through a regulation FD compliant method, or NASDAQ has disseminated either that the system misuses or malfunctions that. So this is the first time, I got to tell you the truth, that I've seen all 3 of these T1, T2, and T3 show up. So you're going to always want to look for here. Look at here to see why it's moving. I don't know what the time the resumption is going to be. It looks like that last one over here, T3, is suggesting, pardon me, that the NASDAQ is saying that they're misusing or malfunctioning or something. I got to tell you, I'm not really too sure. Anyway, halted pending.
That's a wicked move to the downside.
Yeah, that's not a good look. So we'll have to wait and see what we get on that, by the way.
Yeah.
So I just want to show you how to do that, Adair.
Thank you for showing me that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a little bit more hesitant around small caps. We've all heard the Axla debacle, which was when one of my first trades, paper trade, one of my first trades was in this little baby small cap that was running, and then it got halted to the downside. And this is why I think paper trading is helpful, because it can kind of help you get out of that situation. I was able to, to figure my way out, but I think it is kind of a scary situation. That's why small caps do make me a bit nervous. But thank you, Sharif, for showing me how to look at the NASDAQ halts there. Also, there's a comment here, Roger, in the chat that I agree with. Stuff at all-time high is dangerous extremes. Yeah, I think I always get a little bit nervous at stuff around all-time highs. That's why I was like kind of careful when I was trying to enter the Lululemon trade here too, just because I'll pull up Lulu. I'm just looking at Tesla right now. But Lulu, I got in on the dip there because I basically, I mean, again, paper trade here, but I got in on that dip because I didn't want to get in at, near an all-time high or high of day, you know what I mean? Anything like that. Because high of days make me nervous because you don't have levels. You can't go beyond there. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit of, a nerve-wracking time. So I do think all-time high of day, anything where you don't really have a range within to play with and set levels can be, a skosh nerve-inducing. I'm going to be really honest, nerve-wracking. It can. So yeah, I think it's always nice to be cognizant of that and stay true to whatever your strategy is, and maybe wait for levels, look at intraday levels. So I really appreciate that comment here. Elon in the chat, part 1, knowing yourself. Part 2, make yourself do it right. Decisive execution. Yes. I agree. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think that's what we're talking about with trading psychology. It also goes back to what we were talking about risk management in week 1. Do you know what I mean? That was a huge thing where it is, you know, you have to like have plans, but also you have to be aware of the factors psychologically that could make those plans go a little bit awry. You know what I mean? Where you get in your own head. So I think it's like, as long as your plan doesn't trigger, as long as your stop doesn't trigger, I think you can be kind of, you know, feel a bit more confident in the trade and make better trading decisions. And I think since we had this this trading week or the risk management week, I honestly think I have been able to hold myself more accountable. And I would like to say I think I've been making better decisions with my stops and kind of curb the emotional trading. So yeah, I do think being aware of risk management is super vital. I think being aware of the psychological aspects and biases is super vital. So I agree with what you're saying there, Elon, about you know, execution, decisive execution. Nylene Rickards, I started watching last week and I am so happy I found you guys, exclamation points, little smiley face. We're so happy you're here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to be here with everybody too. Like, I think especially with how to trade, I feel like it's hopefully been a pretty good time here.
Yeah, I like, which is interesting, because I gotta tell you the truth, like doing these lessons has refreshed so much in my mind.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, I think it's helped me with my trading.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. You know, like I've read most of this material. Some of it's new, especially the psychological stuff that we've been doing this week.
Yeah, I love the psychological stuff. So that's why I was kind of interested in that.
Yeah, some of it's new to me, but the technical stuff I had read previously. But if you're not using it every day, it's out of the old ticker up there. Guys, we have a poll in the chat, and there's only 468 votes. We need more, baby. We need to know. You guys need to be self-determining. Choose what you guys want for next week. The options are candlestick patterns. Candlestick patterns are different than chart patterns, okay?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's so many, okay? And then how to find stocks. By that, I'm talking about, I'll let you go in 1 sec.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just getting ready to prepare myself.
By how to find stocks, we're talking about finding news catalysts. So understanding how to use the news blotter, how to use the scanner, the different types of scanners that are available, right? There's gap scanners. There's all sorts of different types of scanners. I'm not going to go into all the different types. How to set up a watch list, what to include, the data on the watch list, not just the ticker and the price.
There's a lot of notes.
Right,
yeah,
absolutely.
I took so many notes on this, guys.
No. I'm not talking about like the watch list in the morning. I'm talking about this
that's what
watch
I mean.
list.
Yeah, the watch list. Like, there's a lot of stuff to take notes on, is what I'm trying to say too.
Yes, no, you're accurate.
Like for making a watch list. Yeah.
Absolutely. And a watch list, that would be part of how to find stocks. And then entries and exits, like when Adara was talking about the Meta Connect conference. Remember that huge trade on Meta?
We're always using this as an example.
Yeah, because it tanked aggressively. Trading CPI. Yeah, trading CPI. Trading non-farm payrolls from this morning, ADP payrolls, etc. How to take entries and exits during major events. So, you know, put what you guys want in the chat. Adara is going to sign off now because we're going to have Big Patty come on for the first time for half an hour. So we'll let you sign off, Adara.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my life together here. Yeah, it's been great here. It's been great, guys. It's been great being here with Miss Lulu and the other trades. I appreciate everybody's support. I'm happy to be here, and we are going to do more how-to trading, or I will, you know, next week. Cannot wait to see what the poll ends up deciding. For now, I shall say sayonara and see y'all on the flip.
All right, we shall see Adara Monday morning. She didn't finish off with same bat time, same bat channel, but she knows. True. Guys, the people who are writing their vote in the chat, thank you for voicing it, but you need to click the vote poll. It's at the top of the chat. You'll see a blue rectangle with poll with the number of votes beside it. Click that and then choose the one that you want. I see people putting their opinion or their selection in the actual chat itself, but we actually need it to be voted on. So as we get Adara to sign off there, I'm going to talk a little bit about this futures position. Now, let's have a look here. We're still long. We're long 64s. I know the position board's come and gone, so what we'll do is we'll take, you know, a trade here on BITF. We'll go for 10 shares, and then we'll get out. Right? There we go. It should update. There it is. Okay, so we're still long 64s. Guys, I'm looking for continuation on the future. I've got a beak wetter sitting at 85s, but You know, eventually what I'm looking for is a reach of 100. There we go on the future, right up into 85 it goes. Now we're knocking on the door of 100. Do we get that 100 or is this bamboozlement? But I gotta tell you the truth, we've been stair-stepping up slowly here. We've been incrementally making higher highs and higher lows. It hasn't been aggressive. Look at it tank after printing that right back into 79s it goes. Now we're up 0.25% right now on the future. The Katina man printing over there, baby. He's been printing all day. Oh, thank you. I thought you were printing on something. Oh, the Katina man short. No, but you already took your profits. You're like, what are you holding? Like a tiny bit. Yeah, look, we're moving up here on the future. Incrementally, higher highs, higher lows, but nothing too aggressive. We're getting Big Patty to set up here. He's beside me. His name's Patrick, by the way, but I call him Patty. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
He says it's okay, so we got his authorization, baby. Yeah, I got his nickname already. The Katina man has authorized that one. Right? Yeah. I hope you did. I hope you put words in your mouth, but yeah. Moving up here on the future, guys. Anything? No idea what you did there. The Piper says I took a profit. I did. Nothing too unusual about that. Adira and Sharif learned a lot from you guys. Thank you for the kind word, Emerson. Hope to join us every day. Adira and I will be doing the lessons every day. You guys know how it is. It's not the midday show anymore. It's Learn How to Trade, formerly known as the midday show. We have a poll, guys. 604 votes, 605 votes. Get your vote in there right now. Let us know what you want to see for next week. Is it candlestick patterns? Is it how to find stocks? Is it entries and exits? What do you guys want to see? You guys going to let us know. I gave examples of what each of those ones entails just a moment ago. For something like a candlestick pattern, there's just so many of them. And we'll kind of show you how to group them together. There's one candlestick patterns, there's two, and there's three. I mean, candles together. You're looking at them together. There are so many. I think there's hundreds, okay? How to find stocks, how to find it using a scanner, how to use a news catalyst or a news blotter, how to create a watch list, what to include in the watch list, change percentage, volume, the short percentage, the after hours move, the year-to-date move, the PE, for example, the alpha or the beta, the beta. So many different components that you can include there in the chat. You got to get your mic on, brother.
Yeah, I got it on.
Oh, you got it on?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a dare.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good to go.
All right, guys. We got Patrick. You guys probably know who he is because he sits right here.
Yeah, I'm the bald spot behind Sharif.
I don't know about that. What's going on, my man?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Nothing. Me, good, man. Patty and I, we've been talking a lot back there in the kitchen. We are always we're talking cars, we're talking stocks, we're talking life. You gave me argan oil from your buddy the other day.
Yeah, my brother
mom loves it, by the way. Thank you for that. Yeah, she loves it.
Or where that came from?
Yeah, definitely. I know that. Patty, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, my man?
Okay, so basically, I'm like one of the new guys here. I guess I'm at this camera over here. I'm one of the new guys. I'm one of the newest trainees here. I started here about 3 months ago. I started trading in 2020, obviously, like most people.
Yep. Yeah.
And just like everybody in 2020, I thought I was the best at what I was doing. And then 2021 came around about mid-November, and the stock market said, hold my coffee, because we're coming to show Patty a lesson, right? And that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
And then I started to realize, like, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. You know, so
make two of us, baby.
I talked to a good friend. Sorry,
no.
I talked to a good friend of mine. He's a bigwig on Bay Street. He's in the banks, and he said, "Listen, you need to go down and go work over there." He goes, "You're going to be surrounded with people that know what's going on."
Absolutely.
You know, and he goes, "You're going to be in that environment, and just go try it out." So
fantastic.
I've been here, and I can't see myself like being anywhere else. So
Patty,
it's been great.
When you first started trading, my man, what kind of stocks did you have a certain niche that you liked?
So when I first started, my main thing was Shopify. Oh man, and I thought I was grooving. I bought it at like $470, and every day it kept going up. I'd walk with a little bit of a swagger, you know.
Okay.
And like I
So
said,
you were like Obi a little bit. You were like, I focus on one type of name type thing?
I could never compare it to Obi. I can never compare it to Obi. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if there's a better man in this world than Obi, I haven't met him. That guy's number one.
He is. What a
That guy is number one.
Put the camera on.
Yeah, no, he's the best. Oh, you're number one. He's a great person. He's smart. He knows exactly what he's talking about, right? So shout out to Obi because he's the man.
No, but like, but in all seriousness, though, you really focused on Spotify. You got to know Shopify. Excuse me, yeah. You got to kind of know Shopify day in and day out, and you were trading that bad.
I knew nothing.
Okay.
I knew nothing.
Fair.
Just everything was going up.
Always is.
So that's what I thought. Oh, look at me. Look what I do. Oh, I'm gonna go buy this. Oh, I bought a nice car. Oh, this. And then November came, and then.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
In case you guys are wondering what he's talking about, November 2021, Jerome Powell got on the Hill, said inflation was likely to be persistent. It wasn't transitory, like the word he used before, and then we all know what happened after that. The market sank and interest rates started to go up. So yeah, it was tough. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far, Patty. After starting 2021 comes along, 2022, we know we have a really big down year.
Yep.
How did you handle that? Did you stop trading? Did you continue? How did it work?
So again, I had a conversation with my buddy, he's one of my best friends, and he told me, he goes, stop holding stocks. He's like, don't hold them overnight anymore. He goes,
so no more swinging.
No. He goes, you take your position in the morning, you get out of it, and you leave it. He goes, you're not here to make these long trades. He goes, you're here to come in, make money, and get out.
Gotcha.
Make your money for the day. And luckily he said that because I dropped about 30 to almost 40% of my portfolio until that point.
There. Yeah.
And I probably would have been about 80% down. So luckily he told me, shout out to George.
Shout out, George. Thank you for good advice for the man over here.
Yeah.
So Patty, I mean, now you've had obviously several years under your belt.
Well,
how would you define yourself as a trader? Can you categorize yourself?
Yeah,
No,
for sure. I'm a newbie, and I thought I knew stuff until I came here and I realized I don't know anything. And it's okay though, because you need to know where you stand, right?
Absolutely.
I had no levels, no nothing, I had nothing that I was like focused on. I was just in, I was out. Paying $9.99 a trade, then they moved it to $7
Who were
a
you
trade.
trading with?
I was with TD.
Oh my.
And I was trading on my phone. I wasn't even trading from my computer. So.
That's from your phone. Wow, I've seen a lot of people are doing that. You know, I follow somebody. I'm not going to say their name, but they're always trading off their phone as well.
Of course.
They trade options. So you and I saw that happen a lot. So it's not unusual.
Yeah.
Anything that you narrowed down on, like they teach you a lot of proprietary trades. There's a closing trade, there's a buyout. Anything you like?
I honestly no, because it's not that I don't. I just don't know it yet, right? So I'm not going to pretend like I do. What Brandon Brankles, also known as,
he's the floor manager.
He's the floor manager. Yeah. He said even dollar breaks, and that's been huge for me. The biggest thing for me too has been like literally it happened a couple weeks ago. Obi. He had a little presentation, and he's like, stop going against the trend.
Obi was telling you that?
Stop going against the trend.
Obi was telling you that?
Obi,
you were telling him to go against the trend?
The best, yeah. He had a great presentation.
You were telling him to go stop going against the trend? Well, I'm confused. No, I'm just trolling you, Obi. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, so that's fantastic there, Pat. Anything that you can share so far after 3 months? Anything you reflect on? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's not. I should have been here in 2020. If COVID didn't shut down everybody and you didn't have to work from home,
I swear I would have done the same.
I should have been here from 2020.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, 100%. So if you guys are at home and you're like trading in your house and you're in your living room and stuff like that, you got to be here. You got to come. You got to try. Or at least be somewhere where you're surrounded with people that are doing the same thing, so you can bounce things off of each other. Man. Right? That's the only thing I could say. Right? I'm still learning. I don't know much. I'm just here to learn and do this as best as I can.
Neil, do we still have the Day Trade the World Campus thing happening, or is that it's on right now? All right, Ram, hit it. Ram's got a banner.
Okay.
She's going to show the Day Trade the World Campus, guys. Obviously, we're located in downtown Toronto. If you are in Toronto and you want to start off your prop trading firm career, there's a couple of paths. One, you can apply to be directly on here as a floor trader. The other one is to do it from home, prove profitability in the sim, and then you get a live account. Scan that barcode right there. the day trade, the World Campus, Patty alluding to that earlier, I would have been the exact same thing. But, you know, when COVID hit, this whole floor got shut down. People got sent home. They got laid off or they got sent home over here. And some of the people were trading from home. And, you know, when did you start watching the show, by the way?
I've never watched the show.
You never watched the show?
Never, not once. Not once. I started watching the show when I started working here.
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, bang. All right. Well, we're in. Why
so
not?
if there's days that I'm not here, I'm at home, I'm watching the show.
All right. Kyle Burdett wants to cut the you know what, and he wants to know details about you.
Talk to me.
Who do you support as a football team?
I don't watch football. Are you crazy?
No soccer?
Listen, I'm Italian. Sunday is for family, and that's what we do. We eat pasta, and we talk, and we scream at each other.
I saw you reaching for that, weren't you?
Honestly, I don't watch football. You know,
No,
okay,
no
if I had to pick a team, I'd probably pick the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, they're not bad this year.
Only because I've only went to watch two football games in my life, and it was the Cleveland Browns.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're close by.
Shout out to the dog pound.
Why not?
Yeah.
I love it, man. Guys, I'm just giving Obi a hard time over here. These guys are getting upset with me. They're like, we love Obi, leave him alone. Guys, I love Obi more than you guys. I'm just, Kyle is disappointed though. He says, he's disappointed that you don't watch football, but that's okay. That's his thing, guys. John Di Pietro, though, saying my kind of Sunday. So you got some love from a fellow Italian around there.
Thanks, John. John. And plus, there's no room for any other team when you support the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, shots fired. Hockey over football.
There's one team, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. How are they doing this year, by the way?
Oh, they're on fire. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, we had a little mishap last night with the goalie got hurt, but hopefully that turns us. We'll be okay.
All right. Any trades you can take us through today?
I'm going to be honest with you guys.
On the radar?
I didn't take one trade today.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, because I went to bed at about 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I was in bed at 10, but I had butterflies in my stomach thinking about being on the show. I've never done this before, so I was a little bit nervous and stuff, but feeling a little bit better.
Bro.
Well, it's something new, right?
Yeah,
so.
Of course. Yeah, that's fair.
But I liked Mara Long, so
okay.
I trade Mara. That's what I trade. I've been trading it. That's what I trade, unless like Sean or Neil tells me, listen, like 3 weeks ago, Sean looked at me and he's like, short Nvidia after earnings, 503. It hit 503.20 and collapsed.
You're kidding.
Collapsed. So shout out to Sean.
Well, here he comes. He's coming in. He's coming in hot,
Sean?
baby. Let's go, Sean.
What's up, man? How you
Look,
doing?
I just want to say, so I just approached this guy like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I actually said to my wife, I said, I know his demeanor, and I said last night to Marissa, I said, I bet you this guy is having a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
And then he came in today, and I asked him how was he doing, and he said that he was a little tired because he was a little bit nervous. And then what I told you was what? Just
Be yourself.
be yourself,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
Because
knew who he was. on camera.
exactly, and we're not,
appreciate
so I just want to say great job.
Thank you,
Keep
man.
going,
Thank you,
and
man.
I liked you a little bit better before I heard the football comment, but you know what? It's all good. So keep going. Good job, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah,
actually-
the Katina man scouted this man.
Yeah, and actually he approached me like a few weeks after I started here, and he's like, "You should do the show." I'm like,
agree, man.
"Absolutely not." And he's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Because I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm not here
I don't know about
to send
that.
people in the wrong direction, you know." And he's like, "Listen, I think you should do the show, but it's up to you." And then 2 days ago, he approached me for an espresso. And from an Italian, when another Italian approaches you for an espresso, he means business.
Okay.
Right? And then he asked me again in a private room, he's like, I need you to do the show.
I love how he approached you with espresso.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So when someone asks you something once and then twice, chances are they're not going to ask you a third time, right? Especially when you're dealing with a man like
And so you
Sean.
took it.
So I said, listen, I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best. Try not to lead anybody in the wrong directions, you know?
There you go. Now, the question is, though,
Yeah.
is it a tall or a short espresso?
It's always short.
Oh, short.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
My man is what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having trouble with the words today, guys. Well, I'll just I'll let it go because I can't get the words out. Let's have a quick look at the market, guys,
Sure.
because where are we right now in the future? We're retracing a bit here, no question about it. What I'm keeping my eye on, though, is whether we break down and make a newer low. So far, we were in a state of higher highs on the future and higher lows. We've put that trend into question at the moment. It looks like we may be topping out here at just a little bit below the 16,090 area. We'll see if this hammer candle gets bought up or if we continue to print lows here on the future. I've been looking for a 16.1 touch. We know we had that double top at that 16,113. Essentially, you know, if you were to look at this on a wider time frame like the 15, you would have the closing prints just south of that 16.1. That's what it is. The majority of the closing prints here, for the exception of this one candle, all below 16.1. So 16.1, the resistance level we've all been looking at, we've been looking at for multiple days. If I go to the hourly here, you'll be able to see multiple touches at 16.1. We had an intraday break of 16.1 here on November 29th, only to retrace as aggressively as we moved up. In fact, closing out that day below 16,050. And lately, 16,050 has been the resistance level. So that 50-point, 100-point area coming into play. We'll see what we get on the day today. But it's been interesting. I mean, we saw that 195 on Apple. Did you see that 195 on Apple?
I did. I did say, yeah.
What an aggressive break there. And I was telling the story. I was on this very seat when Apple was doing that at 180 in the summer. And what ended up happening was, unlike this time around, it broke 180 and then it tanked. It broke it by like 25 pennies, and then I think we moved down like $2 or something like that, or I don't remember exactly. But we didn't get that this time around. We actually got continuity. So it's nice to see that we're getting some continuation with these Mag 7.
For sure.
Yeah.
Speaking about Apple.
Go for it.
A few weeks ago, I was going to the bathroom and I saw Sean, and he's like, "So what do you like?" I go, I'm going to short Apple. I'm at 168. He's like, "Are you crazy?" He goes, I go, "No, I'm not crazy. I just don't know what I'm talking about." I go, "But it's been coming down. It's been coming down." Man, I owe Sean a bottle of wine.
There you go.
Too many times he saved my
Saving
my
us
high.
from ourselves. Me and you both, bro.
Yeah, oh, man.
The Piper, please tell Patty we'd love to hear how he sees him telling us his progress. Sounds like a fine fellow I'd like to meet. Tell us a little bit about the journey so far. Obviously, you told us about the swing trades in 2020.
Yeah.
Then 2021 came along. You were swinging. You talked to a buddy.
Yep.
He told you to get rid of the positions overnight.
For sure.
How about since then?
Well, it was just choppy. I'll be honest with you. It was just choppy. You make some, you lose it. You make some, you lose more, right? And I had enough of that, right? So it's like, we're not playing with like rice and beans over here. We're playing with real money, right?
Yep.
So it was time to get serious, and then I came here, and then everything changed. But like, you know, Brandon and everybody here is awesome. They they sit you down, they talk to you. Wayne's 15 years younger than me, but man, that guy,
He's insightful, eh?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Wayne is the guy that we were reading his journal out the other day.
Yes.
So just in case people are wondering who we're talking about Wayners. Wayne, same thing,
Wayners,
same person.
Wayne, yeah, they call Brandon Brankles, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Now, Patty, quick question.
talk to me.
We have a poll out in the chat today, and I know you're not voting, but we want to hear, the viewers want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
What would you want to be the topic of the lessons next week? Candlestick patterns, how to find stocks, or entries and exits? What would you vote for? Entries and exits, it is. Patty has spoken. The chat has spoken as well, because that's 43% to 29 and 28. Entries and exits, guys, what we're going to talk about, things like this. The CPI number comes out. How do you take the trade? The non-farm payrolls comes out. How do you take the trade? An event like the Meta Connect, the Apple event, anything like that, a new product gets dropped. How do you take the trade? We're going to be talking about that next week. Make sure to tune in. Patty will be on as well. Hopefully, we'll get his take on how that all works out as well. Yeah, so I just wanted to see any questions for Patty in the chat here. Bro, Big Patty the concierge. Why is he concierge? I don't get that, fat figure. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's see what other. Patty Ice.
Patty Ice.
That's it. He's been christened. He's been anointed with the Patty Ice label. Freedom in futures. Non-farm payrolls comes out. Don't trade. That's rudimentary. Okay, that's your opinion. I respect that. Thank you for sharing that. Gazo, Sharif. can you one day
Was that
cover
there?
how you play earnings? You heard Sean talk about earnings and his dislike of trading earnings. I'm going to have to actually absolutely agree with Sean on that. I used to trade earnings in a different way. What I would do is, you guys know how earnings are. We have an algo spike. Usually it goes up or it goes down, but sometimes it goes both ways. And so what I was trying to do, let's look at the chart, Ram, because I want to explain to them what I was doing. All right. So what I do over here, let's just say Apple. Ram, chart. What I do, okay, so for example, what I do is something like this. I'd put a buy order above the level, and I'd put a sell order below the level. And depending on how the earnings came out, it would spike one way or it would spike another. So it would trigger me. And I try to be strategic about where I place the orders. It worked for a little while, and then it didn't. And then I ended up getting blown out. So I left the trade alone. So when Sean says he stays away from earnings, I can completely understand and agree with the man, because there's a lot of bamboozlement happening at that point. What you'll notice, and if you go back and look at some of the earnings, not all, some of them, what you'll see, I'm coming to the shot. What you'll see is you'll get an algo spike down, and then it'll pop right back up. And that's made to trigger the people who had orders sitting there resting, like myself, like what I used to. It'll trigger you to the sell side, so you get short, and then all of a sudden it'll spike up however many dollars. And usually we're talking dollars for moves in seconds here on these bigger cap names, especially on earnings. So that's what I would do, and I would stay away from them for particularly that reason. That's just my opinion. If you can trade earnings in a better way, power to you. Do you trade earnings, Patty? Interested in earnings?
I'll trade the earnings day, but I won't trade right away.
You don't trade the algo?
No, I don't even, like, sometimes in the morning, unless I see it the day before, I don't even trade the morning open. I just wait. I just wait for my one time, because I found over time I've been trying to force trades, and all it does is lead you into a bad spot. So
absolutely.
I wait for my entry. I like it, and I smash it with everything I got. I smash it. I don't need to make. I don't care for a long run. I don't care. Give me 4 or 5 pennies and let me smash it.
Fantastic. So now we're getting to some details of how you're trading here.
Yeah,
so then this is ringing a bell, because you and I talked about this in the kitchen. So Patty, you just talked about something very specific. Is it fair to say that you like to take big size,
of course,
and take a small amount of of the move?
100%.
Okay. And is there any particular? I don't mean to put you on the spot. It's just for the viewers, because everybody's going to be asking this anyway.
Why is that?
Is there? Yeah.
It's because the stock market does not care about you. They don't care. They want your money. Oh, you just had a baby? That's nice. Give me your money. They want your money. That's it. That's all they want. So when I can take my profits quickly, I will take the profits quickly. There are a million stocks out there that all have a trade waiting for you.
Bang.
Don't force anything. Wait for it. Hammer it. Take your money and wait again.
I love it.
If it's not there, don't trade. Don't trade. You're just going to get in trouble. You're just going to wait. Oh, now, and you fall in love with the trade. Don't fall in love with the trade. You may fall in love with the stock, but if your trade isn't going the way it's going, flip it around. Flip it around. That's something I couldn't do back at home, but I could do it here. Because I didn't know about margin accounts and stuff like that before I got here, right? So yeah, that's all I can really say about that.
Now, you know this is Psychology Week. We've been doing trading, psychology, anything you want to share with us with respect to your own journey, Patty, like with the psychology of trading? Anything, any wisdom, any insight that you want to share with the viewers?
Yeah. Take a beating, and then you'll understand. Then you'll understand when to get in and when not to get in. You know, I think like I was talking to Wayne back there before I got on, and we're like, no pain, no gain. If you don't take losses, you'll never know when to take your profits. And that's I basically.
So you and I've talked about this actually. We talked about trying to avoid this, but clearly your view is there's no way to avoid it. You need to blow up an account or two to understand the value of trading?
No, absolutely not. It just that's what happened to me.
Okay.
Right?
Fair.
You know, so listen to people. Come to a place like where we are today.
Yes, sir.
And talk to everybody. They want you to do well.
They do.
I've never been, okay, so I have a little thing about myself. I've only ever worked for myself. Since I was 19 years old, I've only ever worked for myself. So I've never...
Love it.
So I've never really been in a position where I'm bouncing ideas off of people or having to work with people. It's, I make what I earn, right? So
I love it.
come here, surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing, because they all have ideas, whether they're older, whether they're younger. Everybody has their own ideas, and they've been there, they've done it. That's all I can really say about that.
Fantastic. Very wise words. Next.
Yeah.
Any indicators that you like? Or are you a price action type man strictly?
So again, I trade Mara. That's what I trade. I know everyone's like, yeah, but there's so many stocks. I get it. But you dance with the girl you came with, right? So that's what I've been doing, and and I know Mara. Like in the summertime, I go golfing on Tuesdays.
Yes, sir.
And I would put in I'd look at the levels.
You go golfing?
Oh, the Katina man wants to ask questions here.
Talk to me. There we go. You guys want to go to Florida right now?
Give this guy contract ASAP.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Florida right now?
The Katina man is like, you go golfing? Get this man a contract ASAP.
I was telling Max, I go the same butterflies I had in my stomach today. It was like the same butterflies I get when I'm going to play golf the next day.
You're kidding.
I swear.
That's not
Listen,
close.
just like stocks, golf is a sickness, right? So
yeah.
you got to practice. You got to practice. You got to practice, right?
So it's just Mara. No VWAP.
No, you know what? I for the first time I was looking at VWAP today. Right?
Okay.
I was looking at VWAP. In the last couple of days, Mara literally bounced off VWAP
That's
6
funny.
times. Today, it blasted through obviously, and
Right.
it's come down. But yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So look, we're just gonna have a quick look here on AAPL because Apple is at day's highs, guys. This has been an absolute rocket ship on the day, and by rocket ship, I mean 2/3%.
Nice.
Right? No, but what's important here, guys, is we did break that key technical 195 level. And what's even more important about that is we're holding above that level. We didn't give up the ghost as quickly as we broke it. Look how the dancing over here on Apple. We break 195, you get a big wick down, it's immediately bought up. What Obi would say was a liquidity grab. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but I'm assuming he would say that. And even over here at around 120, we dipped right back into 195. And we got bought up like nobody's dang business, and now we are at high of day 195.58. Apple pumping to the high side, higher highs, higher lows. You can see that easily here by drawing an upward channel, and we've been holding true to that channel the majority of the morning. Just want to update everybody on that Apple long. I'm still involved in this future, but where we looks like we're stalling out here in the mid 80s. Maybe we'll get that big push when power hour comes around. Guys, we only have 4 minutes left on the show before the big kahunas take over. I'm sure a lot of people have questions for Patty. Tag me in the chat so that I see your question. If I don't see that red rectangle, I'm probably not going to read it. A lot of questions for Patrick. Put it in the chat right now. We've got 4 minutes left, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions for him. So get it there. And get your questions, or be square, baby.
Before we start the questions,
Yes, sir.
I know we shout out a lot of people, so I'd like to shout out my mom. She's at home. She's a big fan of the show. She's a big fan of Sharif, I'll tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Bob.
They all are, So, hey, Ma, hope you're having a good day, Also, you know what? Since we're at it,
Sir?
I'd like to shout out my dad. He's in heaven, but I know he's watching, right? So, shout out to Big Dom.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah, no.
Fantastic, brother.
Listen, anyways, enough of the soft stuff. Who's making money? Is anybody making money today?
Let's
see it
go, baby. Let's go.
Come on, I want to see it in the chat.
You got a comment here. Day trading Singh. This guy, man, I feel as though I'm gonna cry. He's my guy for sure. Love Pat. Keep him on. Says Day Trading Singh. Absolutely.
Thank
I
you,
couldn't
Day Trading
agree
Singh, brother.
more with you guys.
Thank you very much, man.
And then you got some fee rhymes with AMC. Does he wait for stop loss levels, or does he cash out everything as his set 4 or 5 cent move?
I don't ever have a stop loss in. How about
No
that?
stop loss gang, baby.
And it's burned me hundreds of times. Hundreds and hundreds of times. But it's just the way it is, right? I'm still learning, guys. I'm just here trying to learn, trying to figure it out like everybody else, right?
Aren't we all? DVD, sign him up to a 10-day contract to the on the show. I'm assuming he means on the show. Hit it, Katina man, hit it. I saw his hand reach for the stream deck, and I knew immediately what his intentions were. All right. Gunt bag. Where is the best pasta place to go? Now we're asking the real questions around here, Patty.
There's actually two places that I'm very fond of. One is in Kleinburg. It's called Villaggio Ristorante.
There you go.
I challenge you to find a better plate of pasta. And there's another one in Richmond Hill. It's called Amore di Zio. They make good pasta, but they make incredible cake donuts.
Ooh,
and the only reason I'm saying that is because I literally went there to both those places last weekend, right? And it was
fresh in your
unbelievable.
mind,
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. There you go, guys.
So-
Dewey knows where it is. He knows it's Woodbridge.
Yeah.
He knows what Kleinburg is. All the same area. Woodbridge. What's it called? Vaughan. Yeah, that's the whole area. Everybody knows what that is right there. You got another question. The Piper. Best wishes to Patty's mom from London. She's got a nice boy. You're getting some love in the chat there,
guys.
man.
Thank
You're
you,
getting
man.
some love.
No.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Matthew Cabral Sharif, hold on to 16106 and thank me later. All right, I'm going to hold you to that, Matt. No. All right, here we go. We got another. What? Sorry, I missed that one. Where is it? Andrew Chow says, great pronunciation. He's Italian, guys. Like, you think he's going to mispronounce Italian words?
Don't let the Patrick fool you.
Pardon me. All right, guys. Get your questions in the chat for Patty. We already know what we're doing next week. We're going to do entries and exits. I'm going to get Patty's opinion about that next week as well, see how he approaches that kind of thing. We're going to see what his trades on Mara. Hopefully you get some Mara
And
trades.
I will be trading live, but guys, I didn't sleep well last night in anticipation of today, so I didn't want to screw anything up. But I promise you, next week you will see the sickness that is that is Patty.
I love it.
So don't base your trades off of me, but we're here to have, try to figure this out and have a good time, right?
All right, guys. It is now 2 o'clock. The big kahunas are locked and loaded.
Awesome.
The Brendo's at the big desk. We will see you, Patty and I, Adair and I, same bat time, same bat channel. Brendo is at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. We're trying to make it, I'm just looking at the weekly chart here for the overall market, trying to make it 6 straight weeks in positive territory after starting the day overall, if you remember, way back at 8:30 with that non-farm payrolls print that was downside. And, well, the market was downside. We'll talk about